going on, everybody? Welcome back. You know what we're going to do. We're going right now to the blackriflecoffee.com page. Looks like they are doing a buy two, get two free. That doesn't suck. I wonder what that applies to. Let's go to shop now. Oh, looks like coffee bags. All right. That was very specifically one thing. We're going back to the main page. I actually should have known that because it says coffee steep bags. I've used these before, both hot and cold, actually. If you are somebody who goes backcountry, I've used these on motorcycle trips, camping trips, hiking trips. Anytime that I'm away from my normal coffee making supplies, these things are pretty badass. All you need is water if you like hot coffee, the ability to heat it up, and you are good to go. The traditional roast slider. Let's see what they got in the apparel section. Yep, the apparel that I talked about on last weekend. Let's back out of this. I'm curious if they have any new gear. Let's click on that. Oh, hell yeah. Mugs, Yetis, all sorts of containers and vessels that you can enjoy your coffee in. This reticle coffee canister that I'm highlighting right now, that's what I keep my beans in at the house. Super easy to use, and it has a little bit of a vacuum seal to that bad boy. Keeps the beans very, very fresh. Bottom line, if you love coffee and brands that are founded by amazing individuals that continue to give back to veteran causes, I cannot recommend Black Rifle Coffee enough. Go to blackriflecoffee.com and search and shop to your heart's content. And that's it on the business side of the house. My guest today is Michael Montoya. And as many guests do, it came through a suggestion over email. Imagine getting an email about somebody who was a Marine Corps EOD technician who has then dedicated his life post-military service to doing as much as possible in conflict zones to demine them, to educate people, to teach and demine them, and then goes over to Ukraine, steps on a landmine, and notifies one of his buddies via text message, which I have right in front of me right now. It says, well, guess who stepped on a landmine? The response was, you did not. How bad? And it came then with a picture of 2 feet, or where 2 feet should be, but there's only one remaining. And it says, all good though. And of course, it continues. It says, buddy, that's bad for your ability to run. But he writes back, I can still crawl. This is the kind of mentality that I love. The dark gallows humor that comes, I have really only seen in a few communities. Military, veteran, first responder. And I love it. So, of course, I'm going to talk to somebody, one, not only because of their proximity to what's going on in Ukraine, but two, about what they are doing through their company, Invictus Global Response, which I'll read their mission statement right now. At Invictus Global Response, our goal is to protect the lives and livelihoods of people and communities affected by conflict and insecurity through the support of cost-effective and sustainable mine action and humanitarian assistance projects. What an awesome way to take the knowledge gained through a military career and continue to pay it forward. Paired with the ability to joke about losing a portion of one of your feet in real time, welcome to the show, Mr. Michael Montoya. Episode 329. Enjoy.
Okay, I got the red smoke. Gun run! North and south! West of the smoke! West of the smoke! Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now. Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. You're cleared hot. Copy, cleared hot.
Why are you limping?
Oh, you know, what's the term all the kids are using nowadays? Fuck around, find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about Invictus first. Maybe we can start there.
Okay. Invictus Global Response. We set up as a nonprofit, 501c3 pending. So once we get that guy, then we've already got at least a few people lined up to go. We can throw you some money, but not until we get that tax break, which is fine. We kind of put the cart before the horse, but we're out there. We're doing stuff. The team has made it back and is working with the unit to clear the field where I had my oopsie in. So,
what does Invictus specialize in? Like, give me the mission statement.
No, absolutely. So basically, the 3 pillars we kind of follow is mine action. Dealing with all the explosive hazards out there, whether humanitarian or working with military and other law enforcement or security forces around the world to deal with that explosive hazard threat, landmines, ordnance, IEDs, whatever the case may be. Mostly focused on the humanitarian, but we can do it all. The second pillar is humanitarian assistance. So not only do we help clear the problem, we stay to help rebuild the communities that we're in. Whether that's just the management of getting other organizations in there and taking them from destroyed back to some kind of normality. And then the final one is capacity building. No one should just keep relying on outside influence all the time to come solve their problems. So we go in there and help build up their capacity to deal with whatever problems they may have or capacity within the community that they've lost. Prime example, if in Ukraine, if they lost a mechanic because of an airstrike or whatever, or all of his tools are gone, we're going to try and we will find an organization or make it a project of ours to replace and train someone that can help that community within the community.
Okay. Where'd you develop your love for things that go boom?
Oh, it's again since I was a kid. Fireworks one. Watched every war movie as a kid.
Yeah.
It's around the second grade. Saw a Marine. I was like, oh, I want to do that. So wanted to become a Marine. My older brother became a Marine. My two younger brothers were Marines. My brother-in-law was a Marine. Best friends were Marines. We just love jars, I guess, and putting stuff in them.
Yeah.
And right around 14, 15, 16 time frame, that's when I learned about EOD, and I was like, that's something I kind of want to do. And so I figured out what it would take, and that's kind of what I went after. I didn't have any plan B, so I became an EOD tech.
I didn't realize, and I have no idea why I didn't realize this. I know that the Navy has the EOD course. I assume that they would have provided EOD personnel much like they do the FMF corpsmen. Does the Marine Corps have their own EOD pipeline?
Absolutely. So every branch does. So they all go through Eglin Air Force Base. So
it's weird they do
a
that
Navy school
at
an Air Force base.
It's weird they chose to do it, the corpsman thing. I've asked a few Marines why they don't have their own corpsmen. I've gotten a variety of different answers.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them were around the lines of, we just want the corpsman to be neutral and not... we need somebody who's not a Marine to give us neutral baseline medical support.
Maybe a little smarter. I don't know.
Well, and then they choose to go to a Navy course but have their own EOD personnel. Yeah, it's just interesting setup.
Yeah, I mean the whole EOD thing came about, World War II and all that stuff, and so the Navy were kind of the first to take it, and then of course every branch kind of
innovators.
Hung on
That's
to
what
it.
the
Yeah.
Navy's generally known for.
Absolutely.
Yeah, front leading edge.
No, absolutely. We saw them jumping in the swimming pool. We want to jump in the swimming pool. So,
It actually probably is pretty much how it went down. Why do they get to do that and we don't?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Was Marine Corps boot camp what you thought it was going to be like? How accurate is Full Metal Jacket?
I mean, there are some accuracies within it. I was West Coast. There's East Coast. People did put their hands on people, but not so much anymore, as I'm understood. My nephew just became a Marine not too long ago, so the bloodlines and things continue. But yeah, I mean, they do. Their goal is to break you down and shape you into something. What shape that is, kind of all comes out at the end. But yeah, no, it's mentally distressing on you. And there's a reason for it.
No, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so they want to break you down, and then once they break you down, they're like, okay, it's okay, little puppy. We're going to shape you into that guard dog now, and boom, that's what they do. They work you up into it, and then those who can't handle it kind of get weeded out.
I have found that Marines, when it comes to a sense of pride in their service, regardless of how far they are from that service, Marines are at the top of that heap, for sure. Whatever they do sticks with you, in my opinion, longer than every other service, even from just a baseline boot camp perspective.
Yeah, it's just that one extra week. That's what they do it in. 13 weeks.
Oh, no. Sir, Navy boot camp, I think, is 8.
I know, but who is it? The Army's 12? Air Force is 6 or something? Who knows?
Yeah.
I'd have to look into it. I want to say the Army's 12.
The second place for duration of boot camp would definitely be the Army.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be the Air Force. Yeah, it sticks with them.
Now, does the Air Force even go there, or they just go to some community college now? What's going on with that?
I'm so tempted to talk.
I'm kidding.
I know. I've had great experiences. What's interesting is a lot of people think that there is this crazy inter-service rivalry between all the branches. And I think in peacetime there might have been a little bit more because absent an enemy, of course, we're going to fight ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
But some of the best experiences I've ever had actually were with Marines. They don't fuck around.
No. And the best way to put it, and I've had to tell this to a lot of people, is, there's different kind of Marines. Obviously, there's kind of that fleet Marine and then that kind of that field Marine. And with the field Marines especially, is you got to look at them like a rabid dog. Like, once you open that cage, they're going to go out and fight and, we'll say, fornicate for purposes. And once they're done and tired, you stand behind that gate as they crawl back into the cage, and then you shut it and you lock it. Don't be in the way between the cage opening and the cage closing, because that's all they do. That's what
I think I saw that in a manual somewhere. Maybe that's doctrine.
yeah. Pull pin to cage, run.
Breaking case of war.
Yeah.
So EOD school, where do they – first off, how long is it?
It's about 9 months. It's extended a little bit. They got the W&D section and other things, but about 9 months, and then the Navy stays for their underwater section.
Where do they start you?
Oh, well, I mean,
because if you look at even just the type of explosives and IEDs, and then, like you mentioned, the WMD portion of that or the nuclear portion of that, the knowledge base is so broad. From, hey, we found these grenades on target, and we're not sure if they're safe. And here's an RPG-7 round, and here's all the U.S. ammo, and here's HME over here. And, here's a vehicle-borne IED. Why don't you go handle that? Well, we go hide about 7 clicks away, and we'll listen for you to see whether or not you disarmed it.
Yeah, and if you come up talking, we know you're okay.
Yeah, no, it is a jack of all trades. And I'm just fascinated on where they start that process.
Yeah, it's a theory kind of starting at the beginning, that foundation stuff, and then you progress through it. And the cool thing about EOD school is it's a bunch of stages. Because, if they just had it where you go through the whole thing, you test at the end, well, then they wasted 9 months on someone if they fell out. So, 2 weeks for this portion of it, 3 weeks for this one, 5 weeks for this, 4 weeks for this, demos after you kind of get that initial knowledge base, and you learn some of the fuse functioning, you learn some of this stuff, you learn how to recon something. That's just walking up to a piece of ordnance and determining what it is and applying whatever safeties it may be. If it's got high explosive fragmentation safeties, well, to make sure you got your proper PPE on. If it's got some kind of acoustic thing, make sure you're not making noise. If it's got magnetic influences, don't take metal up to it. And you learn all this stuff, and there's just so much information. The biggest thing, a lot of people think EOD techs, they know everything. I'll let you know a little secret. We don't know shit. But what we do know is how to access it.
Okay.
So like we've got a million bits of information, and, the foundation of it's that 5 to 10%. You got to kind of maintain that one or know it. But all the other stuff, you're accessing it. Okay, I know it's a grenade. Okay, so we're going to look at this 15%. Okay, I know it's a thrown grenade. Okay, section of this, it's from Russia. It's okay, this. And eventually we hone in on it, and we got this big, database, and we go, okay, we're looking at it. It has all this stuff inside of it. This is how it works. These are the safeties we need to apply to it. This is how we dispose of it. This is how we render safe it. Boom, 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 boom.
But can you find that in the field?
I kind of remember they do have a field information thing now.
Yeah.
Before, it was like microfiche and then this, and it went up to the computer. So you had a nice big computer that you could carry with you, a tough book. And I think they're damn near too just like a Palm Pilot type thing. But I got out in 2010, so we still had the computers, the tough books.
Okay.
But wherever you're at in any country, it's not like you're going to find a million different types of ordnance. There's going to be a list of like what's kind of used in there according to the past conflicts and who's there now. So the more parties at a location, the little bit more influence it gets. But, it's really not that bad. You start seeing stuff day in, day out, day in, day out. You can remember 90% of it. But it's kind of like learning a language. When you're immersed in it, you fire it off, how much is that in French or whatever, room 101 or this and this. And then you leave for 3 months and you can't remember to say yes in French. You're like, dang it, what was that word? And you get back there for 2 weeks into it. And next thing you know, you're speaking at least at a basic level again. So it's the same thing with a lot of ordnance. And with
except for the fact that words don't blow your legs off.
Not
traditionally.
Not traditionally, of course. I guess the word boom.
So how complicated were some of the test gates in that EOD course? Like, give me an example of a problem you guys had to solve.
So, of course, you got the standard, multiple choice questions. It's a military school.
Yeah.
A through D. Two of the answers are off the wall, never going to matter. One of them's the correct one, and one of them's like, maybe. And
I hate those.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time going back and forth, like, pretty sure it's this.
Yeah.
But also that one looks reasonable as well.
But the biggest thing is it's a military school. So listen for the 3 stomps, or someone says something over 3 times, or they slap the board 3 times. Like, they're giving you all the answers. It's just there's so much information sometimes just people don't get it.
Yeah.
The big thing is the practical test. And it's a lot of different parts. So you're learning all this information, but when you're doing a practical test, you get a scenario and you got to figure out what you're going to take down, what safeties and stuff off of vague information. You're going to talk to your witness or whoever's there and ask them questions. And it's all about learning how to ask questions. Because the instructor, he knows the whole test, but he's only going to give you the information you're actually asking for. So if you ask the right questions, you get more and more closer to the correct problem and answer. And so you can almost have 90% of that test done just by asking the right questions.
You could have 90% of the knowledge, you mean?
No, of the test that you're working on, because now you know what you're dealing with. You've honed it in. You had them, hey, do you have a picture of it by chance? Because it's a digital age. Oh, yeah, I took a picture of it, and it shows you your test problem.
You still are going to have to go practically disarm,
you still got to go do
right?
it.
Okay.
But now you can be like, oh, that's a Sager Charlie model, this. Go right into the computer, look it up. Now you've got all the information about it. And then you go, okay, these safeties, this. You look at it one more time. Okay, it's slightly off the thing. It's armed, so I got to follow this. Do not move because it's armed, or you can move it because it's armed, but it's got 16 piezoelectric crystals, boom, 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 and you're just building up that plan. Mm-hmm. And my biggest problem in all these tests was you lose 2 points if you don't dismiss your guide who takes you down there. Tell him to go away. And so I kept getting 98s because I'm like, all right, I got to go do this. I remember one test, it was this one problem, and it didn't have a do not move hazard on it. The instructor is down there, and I'm doing my problem. He guided me down there. I'm taking my information, getting my measurements, and he picks up the item, leans it against a tree. I look at him, okay, he's just messing with me, keep going. Then he takes it, puts it up in the tree, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Hey, guide at this time, you go back. He's like, yeah. But I didn't fail because I still followed all the safeties. I took certain ones off, because if I didn't take the move one off when he moved it, I would have failed. So it's like you're constantly going through this stuff. So, but yeah, it was a really interesting time. And the test, again, they're not all that difficult, but they are definitely hit certain steps throughout it. And as long as you follow these steps and you keep in mind what you're doing, and you got a clipboard, you're doing all this stuff on a clipboard. So, okay, what safeties I got left? Okay, can I check that off looking at it? Okay, yeah, it's not a heat round, so I don't got to worry about jet. Okay, does it have some kind of propulsion on it? No, okay, don't need that. Is anything going to move out of it? No ejection. Just high explosives. It's fragmenting. Okay, so, let's not kick it. And this should be a pretty easy problem.
Yeah.
It's got no fuse. Boom, no fuse. It's just high explosives. Don't hit with a bunch of stuff. You're okay with it, so... Yeah, so the tests all in all are not that difficult as long as you systematically approach it and go through the process.
What year did you go through the course?
I got there in middle of 2005, and I graduated February 14th, 2006.
Were they pulling real-world charges that they had seen into the curriculum at that point?
In the IED portion.
Okay.
So the ordnance portion is just ordnance. It's going to be the same no matter where you go. That's the EOD portion of it. And in the international community, a lot of people separate the two. You have EOD techs and IEDD techs. So IED disposal,
Gotcha.
or explosive ordnance disposal.
Okay.
The U.S. is kind of special in the way that we're all the one. We're the one-stop shop, jack of all trades. We do it all. A lot of other militaries go, this guy only does explosive ordnance. This guy only does search. This guy only does IEDs.
That makes sense in the academic world. It kind of fails, in my experience, in the practical exploitation, because you don't know what you're going to be challenged with. And if you bring a Phillips head and you need a flathead, you're kind of fucked.
Yep. well, I mean, just bring a Marine. They'll just start smacking until it works. But
That's been my experience as well. I deeply appreciate them for that,
yeah.
though. How much would you say that course prepared you? I'm assuming you deployed overseas after that to one of those environments where the IEDs were very present.
Yeah, actually, in my last few weeks of EOD school, when I was going through nukes, I got a phone call, and the instructor came into our class, and they're like, yeah, excuse us. Sorry, Montoya, you have a phone call. And if you're in a school environment and someone stops a class to come get you for a phone call, what's the first thing that goes through your mind?
Somebody probably died.
Family member dead, accident, something's going on. I was like, oh, crap, what happened? What happened? What happened? So I get to the phone, I pick it up, this is Sergeant Montoya, and there's a Chief Warrant Officer on the other line. He's like, hey, you're a combat casualty replacement. You're going over to Iraq. And I was like,
what year is this?
2006 in January.
Okay. So, yeah, things were actually ramping up from a perspective.
Yeah, I just got back from the Battle of Fallujah, where I was an on-the-job trainee for EOD from the 04-05 time period.
Yeah.
And so I got to meet like 40, 50 different EOD techs right there in Fallujah. And, so then I went to school, did all that. Then that last 2-3 weeks, I got that phone call, and he's like, yeah, you got to go to Iraq. And I was like, you do know I'm still in school, right? He's like, oh, yeah. Don't take leave. So I was like, okay. Graduated February 14th, had my 6 days to travel there. And then from there, I checked in on a Tuesday because it was a 96. So checked in on a Tuesday, left on a Thursday evening. So that was it. I checked in on that Tuesday, and I told the colonel there, and I was like, yeah, I'm just checking in, checking out. I'm going over to Iraq. And he's like, you're just a sergeant. You don't know any better. If I don't know about it, then it ain't happening. And I was like, okay, well, I'm leaving Thursday, just letting you know. So I checked in, checked out, and on Thursday, right around noon, I get a phone call on the old Nokia brick. And I answer as I Sergeant Montoya, and this Colonel so-and-so, you're leaving on a flight at 1800. I was like, is this the flight you said that was not happening? He's like, I don't need your shit. I was like, yeah, Roger. He's like, get your weapons. Good luck. Don't die. I was like, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that colonel didn't last too much longer. He was having a little problem where he kind of owned a school. He was sending all of his guys to that school, kind of making a little money. So, so he kind of got retired, but yeah, I got all my stuff, deployed so fast. I was still in my green camouflage and going to the desert. Got all my cool guy gear, nods, M4 carbine, everything. And I'm on an ear station at the time in Yuma, and I go report to the NCO club where we're all reporting to fly out, and everyone's in these tan clothes, and it's a wing unit, so no one's in high-speed gear. It's like whatever, and there's this cool guy walking up, like cue the music, the fog in the background, like slow moving. And then out of nowhere, I hear this, what up, cockbag? I was like, okay, look, and it's my brother. He's on the same flight. So my little brother, he's a Lance Corporal, PFC at the time, is deploying with me. And everyone paused. And you could see everyone standing there like, oh, I can't believe this PFC or Lance Corporal. I forget what he was at the time, but he's like, he's going to get decked. I'm like, what's up, cockbag? The brother stuff. And yeah, so I hop on that plane and get to Kuwait, get there. And I was like, yeah, I need to go to TQ. And they're like, it says here you got to go to Al Assad. I was like, well, I'm telling you, I need to go to TQ. Nah, you don't know any better. I was like, okay. So got to Al Assad, showed up there, and the EOD team said, oh, you're supposed to be at TQ. And I was like, I've told everyone I know where I'm going. No one wants to listen. And I was like, I got like 15 rounds. Y'all care if I get some ammunition and explosives and stuff? And they're like, oh, yeah, right there. Amnesty box, packing mags, doing this. Convoy leaving in 45 minutes. We'll drive you on our gator to it. And I was like, okay, got my bags. Got, a combat load, grabbed a block of C4 and some thermites and smoke grenades and some frags, hopped in the back of a logistical convoy. And again, it's one of those things. I'm in green camouflage, and I hop in the back, and there's it's a 7-ton. There's like 4 of the guys back there, and no one's saying a thing. And you can see their heads are straight forward. I'm over here to the side, and you could see them like trying to like look, but not. So you can see the chins moving, like. And eventually, finally, one breaks. Is like, are you with like the CIA or who are you?
You just say yes.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I'm just a EOD tech. And they're like, no, you're not. And I was like, I'm just a sergeant in the Marine Corps, dude. I was like, he pulled my ID. I was like, look, dude. It's like, oh. I was like, yeah, I'm just trying to hitch a ride. Do I look that cool? Yes. So, yeah. No, that was the fun adventure of at least getting from EOD school to Iraq. Yeah. Then kind of got there. And
How long were you in country before you encountered your first EOD problem?
2 days.
What was it?
IED. We were going out to it, and it was at night. And as we were driving to it, we were going down, what is that, Long Island, and we were going to respond to a unit. And we just passed. No. So we were driving down to it, and I'm in the fourth vehicle in a Humvee, and I watched the first vehicle explode. I was like, oh, okay. We're on an IED.
Yeah.
And, so we immediately get up there. One of the sergeants, or our MPs that were being our escort, he comes out of the vehicle, and we're like, oh, hold on. It's like, I'm okay. Takes one step, face plants. We're like, lean him up against the vehicle, and I immediately start searching forward of it. I go about 50 to 60 meters past it, looking on the road, looking left and right.
Just visually sweeping?
Visual sweep with the light, and just going. And it was a pressure plate they hit, and it was hardball. So pressure plate on the road, wire going off to the side, and that's where they kind of got blown up a little bit.
How far off the road was the charge?
Immediate.
Okay.
Asphalt stop, charge right there.
What'd they hide it in, do you know?
No, just right in the dirt.
Okay.
But they were moving. We were moving lights out. I want to say, it was lights out and just moving, trying to get to a spot. A convoy just went through there because we were going up to the other spot. But I think they were actually coming this way, and a convoy was stopped behind us now. And so we're dealing with this, trying to get our casualties out, and I only checked like 50, 60 meters up, and this logistical convoy army was behind us, coming up about 20, 30 minutes into our scene, and like, hey, we just hit an IED. We have not searched beyond this point. Y'all should just hold up and wait. Like, oh, no, we got to get this moving. So I was like, okay, just so you know, we have not searched beyond it. They drove about 100 and something meters beyond where we hit it. Boom, that cracked off, and I was like, okay. So I'm jogging up there to their last vehicle, and then I start searching from that point on. They're in one of those Army LRMT or LMRTs or whatever it's called, but it looks like a big turtle in the front. And go up, I'm knocking on their door. Of course, they're not answering. And eventually someone pokes their head out of the top. What? It's like, are y'all okay? But there's another one, pressure plate, side of the road, just mobilized the vehicle, took out a tire and stuff. But we got our casualties out of there, continued to check. We did like a extensive further one with, I want to say on that call, it was a gunny by the name of Gunnery Sergeant Alexander. That's what I keep picturing in my head. So, we did an extensive search forward, nothing else. Ground evac, got the other guys, recovered the vehicle, this, that, the other thing. And that was the beginning of my first actual EOD trip. The Battle Fallujah, I was an on-the-job trainee. So, way to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was good times.
Did you ever pull like a daisy chain of det cord and like 155 rounds came out? I saw a documentary once where a guy did that.
Oh, yeah. Like a real story, true fact.
It was the documentary was called The Hurt Locker. And I just remember that scene. I swear it was det cord that was all tied in. He's just...
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and I swear, I think it was 155 rounds too.
It was 155s, and they were, what is it, like 5 of them? They only weigh like
108.
Yeah, they only weigh like 120 pounds each, but you could tell they were like an inert, plastic injection mold, 10, 15 pounds each on the movie.
Is that a valid disarming technique? Just grab the det cord and pull?
I can't say with certainty, but a method that has
perhaps not advisable.
It's not advisable, but every situation has its own whatever thing, and people have been hurt and killed because they grabbed det cord and they pulled det cord. Booby traps said booby traps attached to det cord, and as they pull up, set off the booby trap, they die. Or get
I just
injured.
would never want to pull 6 to 8 155 rounds any closer to me.
Oh, I mean, if you can one arm pull 520-pound each devices. I mean, at that point, you're made of
The
something
strength
else.
of that guy.
And so
Yeah, just a nice,
you could probably
like a
just
nice upward arm pull, and
you could probably just Heisman Trophy those things out into the field and detonate them that way. I don't even need artillery in that.
Did you
unit.
find that video, Michael? Oh yeah, pull that. It's amazing. I'm not even an EOD guy, and I said, "Oh fuck yeah!"
It's 6 of them. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Unless there's one behind him too. Oh god,
7.
Look at that. He's just tugging on it.
Yeah, like I said, if you can move that,
That's. Oh god.
Is that 155s or is that 130s? Oh. 152s.
I think you're supposed to get them right to your feet, though. You want them close for efficiency.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Not that he would have survived by not pulling them towards him if they hadn't gone off.
There is a method of doing absolutely everything, but in the field we work in, it's typically remotely.
Yeah.
And there's techniques for that. There's remote, semi-remote, and of course, manual. And manual's the last bit, and typically highly trained people. You see the hole in the end of that blasting cap to show that it was inert.
Oh yeah. You can see that all the time too. I was watching a movie the other day. A guy was at full extension with a pistol, and he squeezes it, and they really slowed the camera down. So the slide comes back and it ejects the round, and you can just see the crimping on the end of it. That it was just a blank.
Oh,
it was a blank round and then as the slide is coming forward and stripping the round out of the mag, you can clearly see that it was a blank as well. For people, I get it. It's for entertainment. I can't turn that portion of my brain off.
No.
No.
No, my wife's EMT, so she sits there and now sees all the medical shows where, they just don't have the budget, or they don't have a specialist with them, and the wrong tube's going into the mouth, or this or that, and she's like, I just can't unsee it. And I was like, how do you think I feel with every explosive? You throw a grenade, and 17 blocks of the city go up. I'm like, nuclear grenades, I like that.
Wouldn't it be sweet if grenades were like that?
I mean, if I could throw them a little bit further.
I think it's one of the most over-portrayed explosive devices in the movies. I remember the first time I threw one, I thought it was going to be sweet. Fireball, and it just went crack, and a little bit of dust came up. And this was on a range out at San Clemente Island when we were still in buds, which I think the evolution is more anxiety-inducing than throwing the grenade itself, because you have 3 people looking over you and grab the grenade, put it into the webbing of your hand, squeeze it, and
death grip.
Yeah. Take the pin, peel it out with your knuckles. Actually, this would have fucked me because I'm not left-handed. I would be going the other direction. I'd be like, Right, but you have 3 people. 2 of them are watching you to tackle you and drag you away from the pit in case you drop it. And then, the 45 just shuts. You throw it. I was waiting for the fireball. Crack. A little bit of dust. Oh, man.
That's it.
Sorry, everybody. I wish it was a 55-gallon drum of gasoline that went off.
Oh, yeah. You get to feel the heat, throw it in the winter,
I also didn't realize that a grenade, the kill radius, it's designed if it lands vertically. If it lands on its side, it kills 50% of the effectiveness of the grenade because 50% of it is going into the dirt.
Yep.
I've never seen a grenade thrown that landed nicely like that. They all land on their side and they roll around.
It's the one that gets booby-trapped and stuck on a stick, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, but you never... Man.
Yeah, I got to...
You'd be good if you could get it to actually land upright.
Yeah. Yeah, or, I don't know, put it on top of a wall and open it, try... Yeah.
I guess. It would be tough. It would be tough. So you were in the nuclear portion of the EOD school.
Yep.
How in the hell do you disarm a nuclear weapon? I have watched the recent Godzilla one where it was an analog clock, and I feel like he just put something in there to jam the wheels.
I mean, to each its own. There's, there's manuals, of course, always. You just follow the manual,
How complicated is a nuclear device?
A lot of steps.
I would imagine so.
Probably.
Yeah.
If one were to surmise. Or not a lot of steps, depends when it goes off.
I just mean from somebody to, not 1, find the device, then 2, access it, know what the hell they're looking at. I feel like it's not just cut the red wire. Or maybe it is cut the red wire. I don't know.
No, I mean, it's one of those things, a whole team about it, and you really just learn how to read steps, just like anything else. Like if you want to take apart, said Nintendo without destroying it, take it apart in these steps, and that's how everything in the world works, even with inerting or anything else that we've ever done. So I suppose that's about all I could really say about that. Just follow the steps.
What was the most challenging real-world EOD problem that you encountered while you were in the military?
Like there's really not that many of them that are difficult. The crappy thing is when I was military, most IEDs are really basic.
Yeah.
Just
the ones
a
that seemed to get
switch.
tricky were the ones where there'd be secondary and tertiary IEDs that were designed. The first one, it would almost seem as if it was designed only to wound or a mass casualty wounding.
Yeah, or to draw someone in.
That's what I'm saying. What
whatever.
they really wanted was the other people to come in and then crack off a bigger charge. So the guys we were with, I think, were finding a smaller initial charge, but larger secondary and tertiary charges.
Yeah, or even just an obvious one because they want you to stop. And they've seen your unit for the last 6 months driving the area, and y'all stop exactly 102 meters away. So they're like, we're going to put an obvious one right here. We know they're going to park X distance away, and that's when we're going to crack off the 1,000-pounder that's going to rip through everything.
Yeah,
or the daisy chain that goes 200-300 meters back and smacks 7 vehicles. So yeah, I mean it's there's a whole counter ID thing. You always change your tactics, and the basic stuff we always learn in the military, and just safe practices. Change your times, change your disc, change your stuff. And
don't be predictable.
Yeah, but once you are, it's easy, and they don't even have to be that complex to take you out at that point. So with EOD, and I've taught a lot of EOD techs internationally, especially since 2012 over in Afghanistan. And of course, we set up our own EOD school when I was a Department of State contract under a specific company in East Africa. And we were training EOD techs that were going out to Somalia doing their business. And we didn't lose very many people. And the people we did lose that was on those teams, they were not hit while working on a device. They were hit while doing something else, setting up the cordon or doing this or doing that. That's when they would get hit, shot, blown up from a distance, whatever the case may be. So luckily there's a very logical method you can do to dealing with an IED that keeps you highly safe if you follow these steps. You can't always follow every step because of environment or because of this. And like you said, the more devices they put out, maybe you're doing it safely on this one, but puts you directly in the path of the next one. Yeah. Or they want you to focus on this one. You don't see, the guy shaking his hand over here about to slap you in the face, and it's going to hurt. So
what's the, every community has their own lore or legends, if you will, like these stories that are unbelievable. What's the craziest real-world EOD story that you've ever heard of?
Heck, I don't even know. I mean, there's obviously the one picture. We've all probably seen of that one guy. I want to say his name is Mike. And he just got blown up in a hole, and he's standing there. His pants are gone, and he's flipping off, in the picture. It's in Iraq, and he's like sitting there doing this, and he's got no pants on because they literally got blown off and cut up. But he's standing there.
He survived.
Survived, yeah. So he's just small fragments, small whatever stuff, and he just got lucky, and his pants were shredded.
How about as far as an EOD technician goes? Are there any that are just legendary?
Not that I can just sit there,
run in there with a matchbook and a Leatherman, and just start disarming nuclear devices.
No, I mean we all have our our weird ones, just like weird things that people have done, or like literally. Remember one the Navy techs that were over there in TQ went out and they were lifting this propane tank that was full of explosives and HME, and then that's when they noticed underneath it a mousetrap switch. So all they had to do was whoosh and explode and set off a few hundred pounds. They would have been done. But the weight of the propane tank crushed it, so it couldn't work. So it's like, your butthole was the Grand Canyon, and now it's, a diamond-producing thing.
One of my favorites, this was from 2010, my last deployment to Afghanistan. By that time, I didn't want anything to do with any of the RGs, the armored vehicles, even though they had the extended rollers up front.
The 31s or 33s?
I don't fucking know.
Any of them. Yeah, I get you.
RG... No.
Pick it.
Yeah, I don't want any part of it. they had the big roller extenders up front. And for people listening, the intent of the roller was it would apply enough pressure to a pressure plate that it would set off a device, and the vehicle would actually be offset from that, so hopefully less targeted.
Yeah, vehicle survives.
Yeah.
Roller gets destroyed.
Not saying that it's a joyous ride for the people on the inside, but probably better than what we'd see on like Route 1 in Afghanistan, where there'd be 1,500 pounds in a culvert and it would flip
Yeah.
an MRAP end over end hundreds of feet in the air, and they're having to weld out or cut out pieces of bodies to return them to their families. I'll take the former, not the latter. And so I'm off on a little side-by-side. And, of course, what does the little mine rollers in front hit? An IED. So it disables the vehicle, and we're maybe an hour in, like, golf cart range from the base that we were at. But we ended up staying because we had to watch the vehicle. I think it was the second day, and there was there was a village over here. The RG was right here. And then there's another road that went over this direction, over by my sunglasses. And we're sitting there. I think it was like mid-morning here. Boom. And what's that? Let's take a look at it. So as the dust is settling, very clear where it was. So binos are coming up. There's 2 motorcycles just parked over there. And what appears to be 2 people taking an extended nap near the motorcycles. So we go out there. And the best that we can determine is that it was a older IED specialist. My terms maybe not theirs that they would use, teaching a younger guy how to put in a pressure plate. Well, my man hooked the battery up to the pressure plate, or whatever it was. He armed the pressure plate. They were covering it in dirt, and as they were moving around, he forgot where the pressure plate was and activated it himself with their faces directly over the charge.
So technically solved the problem for you.
He taught and solved the problem for us at the same time. It was a knowledge transfer that was very short-lived.
What's that old?
Pun intended.
What's that old comic thing? Everyone watch. I'm only going to show you this one time. It's got the suicide bomber.
God. So we, of course, go out there.
Yeah.
And I may or may not have borrowed one of those motorcycles for a journey shortly thereafterwards. It was not going to be used anytime in the near future. So we went out in side-by-sides. We came back in side-by-sides with 2 motorcycles. And these guys were like 15 feet away. They had obviously cartwheeled through the air. Their man dresses were like up over their heads, and basically shoulders and up were completely gone. So they were head down hooking this shit up, and the guy's like, oh, just let me move over here. Boom! Like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there you go.
What'd you find?
Oh, it just messed up. Hold on.
Oh,
there he
there's
is.
Michael.
Yeah, see? There's like people like Iron Mike.
God.
Yeah, whether they cut it off or whatever, but yeah, he's just like, yeah, fuck you. I want to say that was back in like 04, 05, 05-ish.
You couldn't intentionally replicate that. You
No.
know what I mean? Like some things are just absolute either divine intervention, whether you're a religious person or not, or pure damn luck. You know,
That's it.
Yeah, you have that situation happen 100 times, and it's going to be different. I appreciate that guy's headspace, though. Hopefully he turned another 90 degrees to his left and just gave him a nice full moon on the way out.
You probably had to, pulling some of the gravel out between the cheeks. So.
Oh, God. One of the things I disliked the most, and what scared me the most about IEDs, which is almost never talked about, is that it oftentimes takes your cock and balls with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
not
The
awesome.
blast from beneath. That's why after a certain period in the military, they started, what was that, 2010-ish? Somewhere around there?
Are you talking about the ballistic underwear?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that works.
It still can pulverize things, but it's still all attached. So fragments don't go through it, but, you know,
Does it still
something
work?
solid becomes mush, I'm pretty sure. So take that any way you want to.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, a lot of times people get fragged with the rocks and the gravel and everything because they're using plastic jugs sometimes or metal or whatever. And what someone referred to it as the Afghani vasectomy. So, you know, if they're over there in Afghanistan, so...
Yeah.
Or the terrorist vasectomy, and yeah, that's it. I mean, things go up there. I was lucky; my foot was forward, you know,
Yeah.
obviously, and where I stepped on it, if this is my right foot, this is exactly where I stepped on it at. So I just got shrapnel up that right side, just a few pieces on my left knee, thigh area. But yeah, all my wounds are basically from below the knee down.
Well, I mean, we might as well get into it.
Go on.
I mean, does it bring your expertise into question that you stepped on a landmine, even though you were teaching people not to?
Nah, you know, maybe. So yeah, am I ashamed of it? Yeah, a little bit.
I'm
it's like
obviously.
No, I know, but it's like one of those things. Like, immediately after I was like, damn it. And one of the biggest
Your
things.
buddy reached out to me. So how you and I are sitting here today is he sent me a screen grab of the text. And essentially like, hey, guess you just stepped on a landmine in Ukraine. And his response was, shut the fuck up. And I think it was a picture of you in the back of a ambulance with your shit all taped up.
Yeah, wrapped up in a towel. This is what I can find. God. You think it's a towel, but it's actually my shitty underwear. I mean, I still have on my phone right here the message. What had happened right around 12:30 or 1:30. 12:30 local time, Ukraine, east of Kharkiv. And that's where I stepped on it because I got the timestamp of when we called for the ambulance was like 12:36 local time, and that was within that 5 minutes period. And then when I made the video call to my wife to tell her I had my little oopsie, I was back at the ambulance, and that was at like 1:27, 1:28. So,
how'd you decide to deliver that news?
Oh, you want to see the video?
That's rhetorical. I say we airdrop that to Michael and we put this up.
Yeah.
How could somebody ask me such a rhetorical question?
You gotta ask. I know the answer.
Man, let me turn my. How does this work? Fuck, we're gonna sit here look like idiots trying to find our technology.
No, it's glorious. This just shows that we're humans.
We got everybody.
Yeah, let's get back to June here. June 7th. Oh, there it is. Nope, that's not the one. Close enough though. All right, eardropping.
And then I'll push it to you, Michael.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Did you find me?
Andy's iPhone, Andy's
Yes.
Mac. Which one?
Go to the Mac,
Go
actually.
straight to the Mac, yeah.
Shot out.
Yep, got
there
it.
it
All
is.
right. How upset is your wife going to be at you for sharing this video? I hope it's out of 10
we've
and
shared
11.
it. We've
All right.
shared it, yeah.
There's a lot of ways that you can share that information. So I got shot on a target in Iraq in 2005, and I had to. They gave me what I would describe as a 2-liter bottle of morphine.
Yep.
And then handed me a telephone with a calling card. And I remember being so fucked from the morphine. I said, I'm going to need you to dial this number because I can't figure out what this says on the card. And my ex-wife answered, and I remember like, so, you know how I was going to be home in like another 90 days? I'm going to be home probably a little bit sooner in the next few days. She said, well, what happened? I said, I got shot last night. And I shit you not, she said, like in the face?
Not in the moneymaker.
Well, in my head, in my perfectly clear morphine vision head, I was thinking, how the fuck would I be talking to you on the phone if I got shot in the face? Like,
More
no.
like a dad.
No, not in the face. Not in the face. Oh, God.
Yeah. I know, sexy, right?
Yeah.
Everything's okay, dear. I love you. Just stepped on a little mine. Just message or talk to Stu, anything else.
Jesus.
Just stepped on a little mine. Just stepped on a mine.
What was her response to that message?
Well, she called me back, and because I said she's an EMT, so I tried calling her twice, and she didn't pick up. So I was like, I'm just going to send her a video that way she sees that I'm alive.
What time was it where she was?
Oh heck, she was in Vegas, so it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning at that time. Somewhere
Never a
around
good time to get a phone call. You know, it's
No.
generally not, hey, I just had a great birthday. It's like, I stepped on a little mine.
there. It's not August yet. Just stepped on a mine. No big deal.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been told that I downplay stuff, and I I don't bring light to it as much as like what devastating events actually happen. And maybe it's just like my coping mechanism or something like that. But I downplay a lot of stuff. Like, oh yeah, we were getting shot at this time, blah blah. And they're like, was it scary? I was like, I mean, you're getting shot at. It is what it is. And you respond.
Does it have to be devastating? I wonder sometimes if we're our own worst enemies. Gallows humor, which would roughly be described, I would say, for the SEAL community is very common. Sometimes the jokes are a bit too soon.
A little dark.
But I also think it's a bleed-off valve, and I think it prevents you from taking it too seriously.
If it helps within about, I want to say, 30 seconds to the minute of the event, like someone said, everyone pause, look down, check for mines, and I was like, I found one. So, and then what was one of the next things I said? I was like, "Oh, pimp down, pimp in distress." And then, of course, the jokes just kept coming. Someone's like, "Oh, you're never gonna dance again,"
Before we get into Ukraine, though, you got to fill me in on what you were doing post-military before you went over to Ukraine.
Yeah, not a problem. 2010, got out, immediately started working at YPG, Human Proving Grounds, as a ammunition recovery technician. So it's just a fancy civilian-specific job term for EOD tech for them. We were doing all the R&D, range ops, and everything there at Yuma. And, I got to work on a lot of stuff and see a lot of R&D things. Some of them were just proof of concept, so you're never, ever going to see or hear about them. We worked on them for like a month, and they're like, oh, yeah, that works. Let's put it in a closet so if we ever need it. Or, yeah, that doesn't work. Let's just go ahead and shred that and make sure no one ever tries to do that idea. That's dumb. And then, of course, a lot of testing because we have so much surplus in the U.S. military that whenever it's time to bring that lot out, because it's been stored, it has to be tested.
Yeah.
So it goes to one of the proving grounds, and then they test it. And if a certain percent fails, that whole lot goes on a thing and says anyone who has this lot needs to just toss it out. Get your EOD teams to dispose of it, yada, yada, yada. So we got to do a lot of just weird and interesting things. They also had a countermine division there, so I got to test a lot of new different countermine stuff. With
a countermine?
Yeah, so countermine division, basically just a division wholeheartedly set up to counter mine action, whatever it may be. So got a lot of different types of mines that have been safed, to a certain extent. A lot of times, the detonator removed, but the explosive's still in it. So the sensitive stuff's gone, and then that way you can put the targets out and then have whatever technology you use and try to find it, try to search for it, try to do whatever you need to do with it. Worked with the dog program, so I'd take those specific items and take them over to the dogs, hide them, and then the dogs can go out and search them. That way dog training can be conducted. And, so there's like a whole division that you have, fenced off and keep everyone out. And then you, play with mines all day long. And we had all kinds of different divisions there that do stuff. So if you ever have to have something tested, especially in like a desert environment, Yuma is one of them, White Sands is one of them, depending upon what they're trying to test. It goes wherever it's going to go, whatever proving grounds.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so that was the first place. Worked there for about a year and a half, and I was working 60 to 72-hour work weeks every week. And so at that point, I was like, if I'm going to be gone this much, I might as well make more money, at least for a year or two, and then pay off the house, pay off this, do that. So I went ahead and went over to Afghanistan. Was working, doing counter ID, EOD, and IEDD training, so teaching Afghanis how to do all the stuff up north at Camp Span. And, I was doing different stuff running around. Then eventually I worked on the RSOI stuff in 2013, where every soldier came in. If you went through Kandahar, you came to the 8-hour class to kind of get the real quick down and dirty what's going on. So, boom, taught, I think in that time period we were there, like 90,000 troops that came through just that one spot. And then after that, I got picked up by the organization that was teaching ASAT, Advanced Situational Awareness Training, and like SOFSAT, so Special Forces, Advanced Situational Awareness Training. And we were doing all that stuff across the states for about a year. And then I went and got onto a Department of State funded program. What was it at the time? ACOTA, African Contingency Operation.
You got to love the acronyms.
Yeah, training and assistance or whatever it was. And that's where, you train like basic skills. So like you're training soldier skills, NCO, CGO skills. What else? Medical training, counter IED training. And then at that point, the State Department wanted us to set up a EOD training. They tried it with another company a few years before that, and they just didn't do so well. It helps when you actually hire people who are trained in it.
Oh, no. Were they hiring people that were not qualified to teach it? Allegedly?
Maybe they weren't EOD techs initially. And at the very end, there was maybe one or two. But, yeah. So it is what it is. They kind of crashed and burned that one. So this next time, whenever they had us do it, they were like, we just need to do it this one time for this year, these 3 cycles. We missed the first cycle because they basically got it in so fast. We didn't get to do that one, but we did 2 12-week training things, roughly teaching that IMAS standard where you got to teach EOD and IEDD. So EOD level 1 and 2, and then IEDD basic, essentially. Over a 12-week period. We got the stuff to do it over about a 2-week period before we had to start. And me and another guy, Stuart Miller, who is a combat engineer and has gone since, and we've done the EODs. He's done his EOD training for IMAS standards and his IEDD training for IMAS standards and all that stuff. So essentially he's an EOD tech at this point. He started out as a combat engineer. He also went and did his paramedic stuff or EMT stuff and this. He's done extensive stuff, and I've been working with him for the last 10 years. But we actually found out we've been crossing paths since Iraq. Like literally same AOs, same flights.
Just
like,
never bouncing
Like
into
I
each other.
came in on this one flight, and then he left on that flight. Like literally crossing each other's paths. And so me and him started a 12-week program. We got done with the first one. We were doing the second one. They brought a team out to inspect it and see how the program going with no hopes. They were just like, yeah, we're just doing this appease. And they showed up. They walk in. They're like, oh, they got an inert ordnance library. Classroom looks nice. All their gear's inventoried. Well, they got training jackets. They've got this. They got that. The PowerPoints are going boom, boom. They're outside. Got training lanes set up. They've got IED training items set. Like they brought an actual Army EOD tech out to like look, and they're like, holy crap! Like this is like an EOD school. Like was it not supposed to be?
Yeah, isn't that what they paid you guys to do?
Yeah, so like we blew it out of the park so much that it started getting talked about. The program got extended because they're like, we don't want someone else to come in here, so you guys are going to keep at it. So boom, we got that company a whole nother year.
And this was Africa.
Yeah, this is Africa.
What kind of IEDs are they seeing down there? Similar to Iraq and Afghanistan from the concept?
IEDs migrate. And, of course, depending upon what you can do in there, if there's not a lot of, ECMs like what we had, then things are mostly command from a wire, or they're just a pressure plate like what we were seeing.
Yeah.
And as things develop or certain things win and this and TTPs are not being followed, people are being predictable, whatever, that's how your trends kind of get going. But the biggest thing is IEDs are like a flock of birds. They're going to migrate all over the world. So what we saw absolutely at this location in the Middle East, we saw a 98% identical one over here, or over here Southeast Asia, or over here. Like they migrate with the internet and everything else. Things just move around. And so, and then some uniqueness because all that stuff can be brought out, and it's off of a person's imagination and their availability of supplies. So if they don't have certain supplies, then it's going to morph into what they have available there. Yeah. The concept of a pressure plate's the same. It's just the look of it, the style of it, going to be a little different. So that was that. And we kept that school going. It was still going in 2022 in February when I left that company and on that program and left. And then, but I stayed kind of with that company doing all that stuff. I did some other gigs in Singapore and other places around the world here and there, but we were really trying to expand that program. Just the company itself didn't. It listened to us, and when it did, it won things. It expanded. When it didn't, and they brought someone in who maybe not be qualified, to run a EOD or counter ID program, and you're a pilot, or whatever. Like you're not listening to us because we got to do this, people, and there's like, no, we want to put this guy buddy hookup stuff. Things just don't work that way, but they think it does, and very soon they find out it really doesn't work.
So where'd the origin idea come from for Invictus?
Well, we've helped a lot of other organizations. And the biggest thing with that is ultimately it's their organization. They're going to take it the path and the route they want to take it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm done building up other people's shit. I'm done making them look amazing and getting absolutely nothing out of it. And then still not being able to do what we want to do and affect the change we want to affect.
How long did it take you to come to that decision?
Well, we've been we actually started 2 organizations. One about a month before I got hurt, Wild Fields Group, and we're going to do
Wild Field Group?
Wild Fields Group, with the S at the end of field. And we're going to do for-profit stuff, so go after government contracts and also start an EOD, IEDD school, search school, explosive school here in the States. So we're working towards that one, but the main project we're on is Invictus Global Response, and that's the kind of born, undefeated, never defeated, never, conquered. We're, and then our symbol is a phoenix, so like from the ashes, just being reborn, like we're here, like unstoppable. And we have a global response. We'll respond anywhere. So we don't care where the incident's at or what's going on, as long as we can get the support, get the stuff going, and get people there, we're going to help. So yeah, and then, so that's kind of where that was born when we put it together and finalized it in January. Filed our 501c3 paperwork. And
Of 24?
Yeah, just January. So, I got hurt last year in June. We were talking about it. We're doing all this stuff. And then, like I said, other organizations, they want to go their path or they want to do what they do. And the biggest thing we found out a lot of times when you work with other people, if it's not their idea, they give this, no problem. And, we're doing that. But yet it's a table. It's never going to happen. But the appeasement and stuff's there. So now it's time to just take the helm and go with it. And that's literally what we're doing. We're not clout chasers, even though we do recognize that the internet's got a purpose now. It's got, influence, and it's got that. So we're playing that part. We're getting on there, letting people know what we do and where we're doing it. And we're still trying to make sure that we follow, certain things. We're not going to just keep blasting, RSPs, exact RSPs. We'll show people how tools work. Just getting information out there. It's getting stuff like, why does EOD have $500,000 or $5 million worth of equipment? Well, we're just fancy mechanics, So we have to have the tool for a specific job. Even if that job only happens once every 10 years, we got to have it.
Yeah.
So, and as the civilian side, we obviously don't need as many of them as the military does because they got to have that capability.
I hope it stays that way. Just like you said, IEDs, they migrate.
Yep.
The information, the internet's an amazing tool. But like any tool, you can kind of use it for nefarious purposes, for great purposes. You can change the world for the better, change the world for the worse. I hope that law enforcement doesn't need those big tools. And then you watch buildings blow up was it in D.C. where that guy's house exploded?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a gas leak, right? I don't know.
Was that D.C. or was that?
You know what I'm talking about, though?
Yeah.
The one guy that got brought in, they went to his house and the thing vaporized.
Yeah, and they were getting, they got the neighbors out because I think it was almost a duplex or the other house was close. And they got everyone else out and they were having that standoff and talking to him. And then I think when they were advancing, I think in the video they were advancing on the house. And
Yeah, it went high order.
Yeah, it went from livable to, put in a dumpster and light it on fire.
I hope that's a one-off. My pessimistic side leads me to believe that it won't be, unfortunately.
That a lot of people they see all these incidents in the U.S., around the world, and people go, oh my God, there's so many incidents.
There's really not.
Per capita, is there really all that many?
Well, we have tools now where we can see all of the incidents globally almost in real time on our phone.
Yes.
I don't know if historically, well, maybe with explosives, who knows, as society evolves, but I think statistically right now it's the safest time to be a human being ever.
Yep. And
it would be hard to realize that if you only looked at your phone and the things specifically on traditional media sources that are largely negative.
Yeah, well, what gets a story? What gets viewers? The impending train derailment or, oh, that's a cute puppy.
Personally, I would look at the puppy one, especially if it was like a mini dachshund.
Oh, I got 2 of them.
Yeah. Could they be trained to be EOD dogs? They do like to
Anyone
dig.
can, but how do I put this? They're stubborn as.
But they like to dig with their little...
Yeah, but that's a problem. You're digging on a pressure plate.
Well, obviously, first they would need to identify that it's a pressure plate, and then, of course, they wouldn't dig because they are EOD techs.
True. Except for, like, this guy. Boom. Yeah, no, we all have moments, but I wonder if they could be. I know I've worked on programs where smaller dogs, especially like beagles and other smaller dogs, have actually been used specifically for mine clearance. And it's not because they're smaller and more lightweight. It's because they're lower to the ground.
So probably lower to the scent.
Yep, because if you have I've seen them try to train like German Shepherds and stuff, and they have to put their nose down, so they're searching down like this the entire time. They get worn out so fast, and so they got to have longer breaks. Whereas that little dog's just moving and moving and moving. He's already 2 inches. His nose is 2 inches off the ground anyway, so they're just going to town, and they can work twice or 3 times as long. So
I feel like what you're saying is the mini dachshund is actually the optimal EOD dog.
if we can break the stubbornness or just find the right
They
trainer.
could go into a pipe and see what's in the pipe.
Oh yeah, they go anywhere.
They're like little weasels.
They 100%. And like if you have a small gap in the fence anywhere, they're
in.
going to exploit it.
Yeah.
And then as I was trying to chase them around, and I didn't have my prosthetic at the time. I had like my knee scooter, trying to go across the grass, basically just picking up and going, trying to chase these wiener dogs down through the neighborhood. Yeah, it's not fun trying to catch them. But the other day before I left to come here, it was raining, but I went and got some basically like little fence guard things or like some garden stuff, a little liner thing, and I went around the back part of our fence where it was just like that high, and it was raining, but I had to get it done. So I'm sitting out there now with my prosthetic. My tool belt is actually the same equipment I was wearing out there in the field when I got blown up. So I'm in the backyard with my tactical H harness on and my belt rig and my digging knife and some tools and gloves in like 3-inch deep puddles as I'm sitting there pounding this stuff in 40-degree weather in the water. And it took me about an hour and a half, but I got that whole fence line done. Wife calls me during and is like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Yeah, just playing in the rain." She's like, "Oh my god."
They're going to find a way through.
Yeah, no,
They're mischievous.
They've been in. Now they've been in and first thing I did when I let them out that door afterwards, they were back there for 15 minutes
Checking
just
it out.
trying. I was like, I don't think y'all know how long I stayed back there to make this happen. I transferred mud, crawling around my hands and knees. Like, if y'all got to dig through, basically it's a piece of moldable metal, what everything's like. If y'all can dig through that metal, then so be it. Y'all, the community has you now. Yeah. I'm not coming for you.
They have some of the coolest personalities of dogs, though.
They do. And they got no personal space. They'll be right up on your neck and your face and stuff. But, I mean, they need sun. They need, like, direct
Attention.
human, attention and contact. And they go, and then they pass out.
Yeah.
Wiener dogs.
It's a glorious life.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
So,
Sorry, I'm
Ukraine.
everywhere.
That's
Yeah.
right. Ukraine. How did you end up over there?
So it's kind of a long, decade-long story. Since the first initial encroachment that happened, I've had some communications, especially through my buddy, back and forth, open source discussions of, like, when they're finding stuff, people going, "What's this?" And I'm like one of these weird gifted mind kind of people. I can look at something and say, "Oh, that's a such and such, such and such, such and such." And do this, do that, and you should be able to take care of it. Then a high 98%, certainty. I can't tell you exactly 100% because I'm not there to get that 2% minute thing, but that's what you got. Do this, safest way to get rid of it. And so where I was helping them with information or, get these tools, do stuff like this, and having remote procedures, just little bits. I wasn't able to go there physically, but I was able to do that stuff. Then 2022 obviously happened. I was sitting in Erbil doing a humanitarian IEDD course for some people, so how to deal with IEDs that were left over from ISIS and everything. And I'm sitting in the hotel room watching all this stuff go over. Me and my buddy Stu are like constantly talking 24 hours a day, other than when I'm at the class teaching that stuff. And he can't sleep for like 3 days. And he's like, "Okay, I'm going." I was like, "Okay, man. Like, finished here. I'm gonna go." I was just having problems with me and my wife, so I was trying to secure my family first, And part of the problem is I was always gone, always doing this, always doing this. And I
Do you have
thought we
kids?
were, yeah, I got 3 kids, one from each wife. I like to spread out my my glorious self, I guess. But
Glutton for punishment.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But
How long were your previous marriages?
first marriage was 2001 until 2005. Second marriage was 2008 to 2013. And this current marriage is hopefully for life. And that started in 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so scooting along. I like this one. She likes me.
Did you not like the other two?
No, I liked them, but, what's the old adage? You can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. So it's like you can't make them continue loving you. Even one of the biggest problems is always, well, you're gone. I was like, well, when we met or when we did, it's like I was always gone already. Like, he thought it was going to change because we got married, but
It wears on you. That lifestyle
It
wears
does.
on both sides.
it does. And it almost wore out this last one. So, but now we're doing all this stuff together. We're there at the family, and it kind of helps right now that I'm grounded, so to speak. She's like, I can't be like, I'm going to run from you. She's like, I'm going to catch you. You ain't going that fast, nubby,
Is that what she calls you?
No, but,
God, I would deeply appreciate that if that was the case.
I mean, we do refer to it as the stump. So, I mean, at the right angle, it looks like a little turkey leg like you get at Disney World. So,
You could get that tattooed on there.
yeah, I mean, what else was there? Oh, yeah, one part where I'm missing a bunch of chunk of flesh like this. Every time I flex that muscle, it like kind of looks like it bites.
Yeah.
So I want to get teeth drawn on it.
Okay.
And so every time it's, oh, yeah, you can touch it right there. And someone tries to touch it.
I mean, here's the thing. You can either let it ruin your life or embrace that aspect of it,
That's
and
it.
it'll actually enhance your life.
That's it. And like I was told I should get on Feet Finder. And that's how I should pay for everything.
What the fuck is Feet Finder?
So it's something like one of those things where people like, it's like, I guess like an OnlyFans or something.
Michael?
It's like OnlyFans for feet, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, can you get me hooked up? I mean, I'll start.
Is there actually a website called Feet Finder?
Do you want me to pull it up?
The homepage, but nothing farther than that.
Maybe just on your screen initially.
Well, yeah,
we'll
that's
see
a
what-
good idea. Is this family friendly?
I think so. I mean,
right
it's just
now-
feet.
Finder.
Yes, it is.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I gotta like.
I have to see this. Oh my God. We view, buy, and sell feet pics. Feet Finder is the safest, largest, and easiest website to view, buy, and sell feet content. With millions of users, what the fuck is wrong with people? And over 5,000 five-star reviews, Feet Finder is the best website for anyone interested in buying or selling feet content. Okay.
I mean, if it'll fund my organization, I'm ready to stomp some cakes.
Oh, yeah, how it works. Oh, my God. Verified models. Okay. Popular content. View millions of foot fetish pictures. Oh, popular categories. Hold on. High heels, soles,
Do they have one
nail
for
polish,
nubs?
socks. Yeah. Male. Dirty feet. You fucking pig human beings. Pedicures, lotion, dancer, tattoo, showing face. Okay, so that's foot and face. Nylon. Click on that right now. View more categories.
Which one? See more.
Oh, arched feet, ASM. Oh my God!
Is there one for?
Keep going down.
Feet that
BDSM.
aren't all there?
Yeah, let's find it. Dominatrix, food feet. Oh my God! Pictures of feet on food, smashing.
That's
food.
why I said like I'll smash a cake for.
Yep. Jewelry. Keep going. Mature. Ooh, does that mean senior? Platform heels.
Stinky
Petite.
feet?
God.
Is that smelly
showing-
feet? How
yeah.
would they know? How would they know?
That is not a good question to ask. Socks, soles, stomping. I feel like there's a ball sack involved in that somewhere. Okay. Whew. I've seen enough to completely ruin my faith in humanity.
You're welcome.
So here's the thing. Like, is a guy... So is a guy just like jerking off to a picture of somebody's feet? Is that what they're using that for?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think the majority of it is like fetish material.
I do want people to live
Oh, maybe some people like
a
to see
satisfying and fulfilling life for themselves.
Some people like a good AR-15. Some people like a good sole of a foot.
You know, it wasn't very inclusive. I didn't see a category where you could actually thrive.
Well, no. There was a whole section down there that had like all the letters and numbers and stuff
There's
like
not
that.
enough
So we got to
time or
put
patience in humanity for to go through that. How does somebody find their way to that's what they get off to? Is that just you're wired that way and that's kind of what you're into?
See. I don't know. That's my Spanish, by the way.
Yeah. Michael, do you know anybody who has a foot fetish?
He's like,
No.
well, he immediately knew what that website was.
The website comes up and it says, "Do you want to log in, Michael?"
Welcome back, Mike.
God damn it.
Saved password.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Off the top of my head.
I mean, this is again, the internet's a tool. You can use it for what you want to do. You can build a building or destroy the world. I don't know on the side of good or evil. The foot fetish websites fit.
I mean, the internet is literally a mode of transportation, and you can use that for good, bad, indifference. It doesn't matter. You can drive a vehicle into a wall through people, crash a plane. You can transport aid over to somewhere and save 1 million people. So it's just a mode of transportation. It's up to you to use it for.
You could have a niche there. We're talking passive income.
Yeah, I don't care for it for myself. But
You could do like different socks you could put on there. You could do like a puppet show with your nubby foot. You know what I mean? Like wiggly eyeballs that move around. You could do like long hair coming down.
every time I stomp it and chews on like
That's what I'm saying.
piece of jerky.
You could
or
do the
something.
stomping one for sure. You could smash things. I'm just saying, look into it. There's less chance of stepping on a landmine doing that.
I'll pay you $1 million to step on another landmine. Well, this one's going to be a nerd. Already played that game once.
God. All right. People are weird as fuck. Okay. So, Ukraine, you were in the middle of your 10-year story. How the hell did we get on foot fetishes, by the way?
I don't know. Like I'm a squirrel by heart, or a dog looking for a squirrel. Squirrel. You know?
Your buddy you weren't your Beal. Your buddy's like, I'm going.
Yeah. He's going. He went over there in the first, let's say week and a half. He was in country, doing what he do, helping whatever he could do. If you ever have a chance to get him on here, he's an interesting character. And,
What did he say about there in the early days?
oh, chaos, utter chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be shocked if there was anything about that.
People. I mean, it was so confusing. Like people didn't know who was who or how far these people were or not were in this, and so it's just utter chaos. Just people trying to figure out life and what was going on, and yeah, just utter chaos.
What was the EOD situation like when he got over there? Were the Russians dropping in mines? Were the Ukrainians putting in mines to slow the Russian advance?
A lot of things started, right around there, and it was just a let's see if we can stop people kind of thing.
Okay.
And so you all saw the video, especially up there in Kyiv, where they just put mines right across the road. So if someone drove across here,
Yeah.
they're going bippity boppity.
Yeah,
boop.
didn't they literally just put them on top of the asphalt?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's just like with IEDs, they'd have that obvious one and people stop in front of it.
Yeah.
The problem with some Russians is they don't stop. They just drive, and then they drive around and hit the next one. Then they drive around and hit the next one. It's
a strategy.
Yeah, like I tell people, it's a strategy. Just like that stepping on a landmine. It's a strategy of getting rid of landmines. And I've checked that one off the list. It's not the strategy.
Yeah.
A little PMN4. That's what it was. If you're listening, you want to look it up. PMN-4.
That's what you stepped on?
Yeah.
Pull that shit up, Michael.
Yeah.
PM-4?
PMN.
Yeah. Papa Mike November -4.
Dash.
And
Quattro.
personnel Russian landmine.
Oh, so it was a Russian mine. Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I know the lot number and everything. I'll have to look it up because we found a bunch of other ones. Like I said, and the guys are actually back out there.
Oh, damn. So I'm assuming these are slightly buried?
They can be on the ground, and like the period we were going out there, there was a lot of brush.
Black rubber pressure plate.
Yep. In fact,
Flexible, has a solid lower half, which is attached to the upper plastic O-ring. 55 grams of explosives. Much higher. The actuating force is much higher, and the explosive content is much lower than the earlier PMN series. 95 millimeter diameter, height 46 millimeter. Huh. What'd you find there?
yeah. So like I said, the team just is out there in Ukraine, and they're back in the field, supporting a police unit that's clearing it. That they have an MOU there to support them in whatever capacity that is. But this is the picture of one of the PMN4s that they found out there in the field. That's from today.
That's just on top of the grass.
Yep. But remember,
Did you step on one that was just on top of the grass?
in knee-high
All
grass.
right. I was going to say, if you stepped on this one.
No, not like, it's right here on the asphalt.
I can clearly see there's a landmine in that picture. I would not step on that.
I mean,
I see
would
it.
you?
I see it.
I know, but what could I get you to?
How much are we talking?
Exactly.
Like $2 million?
How much to touch my toes while you're looking? But you ain't got no toes, Lieutenant Dan.
So
yeah.
they just out there just throwing. How do you arm that, by the way?
There's just a little hole right there. Just pull it out.
Okay, so they actually
Arm it and-
they probably aren't just throwing them out there. They're placing it and just pulling.
Yeah,
you can throw it.
Yeah, because that one right there takes.
What if it lands pressure?
What is it, 20 kgs to set it off?
I'm not.
I'm a big boy, so
I'm not a fan of throwing out live ordnance and just like hucking it.
yeah, because there's landmines out there that take half a pound to set off, and then there's landmines out there that take 20, 30, 40 pounds, and there's big mines that take 400 or 500 pounds to set them off. So it all depends. Again, once you start looking at it, identifying what it is, you go, oh, that's a PMN4. You look it up on the thing, and if you have an account, you can even look up more details about it. And if you're in the military, you even have more details to it. And some things on here, you don't have the secret information, but you have the general information. So, they're not telling you about the secret component inside of it that, we have or whatever, but it tells you where the explosives are and where to place the explosives. As a, deminer, as a EOD tech, then that's really all you need to know, because you're not trying to figure out the secret
You're not trying
stuff.
to get to the red wire, green wire.
No.
What would you use for something like that? Just like a little bit of
Just a little bit of explosive set to the side of it. Call it a day.
Yeah. So I want to get to the point where you actually were just frolicking around haphazardly, not looking for
skipping,
mines that are clearly visible in grass.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how you got into Ukraine yourself, though.
By train. No, just kidding. So in 2022, it all kind of happened. My buddy was already there, went a few times, and by the end of the year, I was working on a contract with him, and it was like, okay, the wife's like, all right, you've been wanting to go this whole year. You came home. We started working on the family. We're going to continue working on the family. We're together on this. There's something inside of you where you just have to go. And I'm not going to be the one in your life that stopped you from doing what you do. And I was like, awesome. So we went over there January 4th, 3rd, 2nd, somewhere around there, landed in Poland, got on a train, or actually got into a car, drove over, got to Kyiv, started our process there. We were trying to work with this organization to get a humanitarian demining organization set up. That's not the path. That's not the image they were looking for. So we ended up splitting. But during that process, we had an MOU with the ministry where we could locate and remove, consolidate items, and then pass over those items for destruction to the authorities. And so we were out using our detectors, locating them, marking places, consolidating, remotely moving stuff, and doing all that stuff, passing it off to the authorities for them to dispose of it. And we were finding stuff in places that had been initially searched, whether it's a visual search or whatever. And in one spot, we found a minefield that had 398 mines that had been oh, yeah, there's no mines here. And then a vehicle driving through there, actually a mine-proofing vehicle, We were driving on the road here. This is the field right here. Mine vehicle hits it. We're like, oh, that's loud. And then dirt's across the road as we're coming around the corner, landing on the vehicle. And like, oh, it was right here. We look off to the side. Mine vehicle stops. We park. We hop out, throw our own equipment, and we're waving at the guys. They speak not American, you know. And so as we're coming up over here, there's guys on a bike. They don't speak whatever, but they can see we have detectors. We have our, PPE on, and they're like, so they guide us to it. The guys on top of the vehicle are shouting, we're like, hey, we're kind of here to help you out. Mm-hmm. And so we work our way up to it. And here's the vehicle. Here's another landmine right here. They hit a landmine right here. And then we start, we get them out on the track. We get everyone away. Mm-hmm. We start searching. The landmine they hit was right here. The one right here, they drove over the edge of the fuse.
Oh, shit.
So it crushed, like literally, this is the fuse.
Yeah.
And then this is the rim of the fuse. They crushed the rim.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. So just another quarter of a centimeter over to the left, they would have set off that mine too.
Yeah.
So then I search off to the right, find another one, find another one. Now we've got a pattern. Every 5 meters, roughly, 4 to 6 meters, there is a mine, anti-tank mine. And then 5 meters in front, offset by 2.5 meters.
That's a full grid.
Yeah, so it went out about 700-something yards.
Wow.
And so once I found these, we found about 8 of them. I was like, okay, according to this pattern, there's a landmine underneath that vehicle. Well, you can't take a detector underneath a big metal vehicle, so probe comes out. It's got to be right here. And I got the video of me, like, going underneath.
By probe, you mean Rambo knife?
Yes. Yeah, so it was the Mark 11 EOD knife from Landk. So I've had the same EOD knife since Iraq. So
and you're literally pushing it into the dirt to hit metal.
Yep, to hit the side of it. So boom, not the top.
Well, what if you don't know where the top is? How can you be sure?
Because you start from a distance and you work your way into it.
All right, that's fair. That seems reasonable, actually.
At an angle. Here's the side of it.
Yeah.
Surface up here. I'm pushing down.
So you're not just up there with your knife, just like, where is this thing?
No. There's a method to it. Yeah. So I keep working my way towards it, and I was like, okay, well that spot's a little barren, so it's probably right there. So I work and tink. Okay, yeah, got it. Excavate it. Yep, there's another landmine. Hook and lined it. Pulled it out from underneath the vehicle. Took care of the other ones. Hook and lined them. Do all the stuff as safely as possible. Then the ones that were damaged, we took out in the field, and they were disposed of on site because they don't want to transfer really in the back of a vehicle or anything over a long distance when it's been damaged, regardless of whatever its condition is. They went ahead and blew that one. We got the vehicle out of there. High five. We're saviors of the day. This is what we're there to do. And then we started working that field, and we removed 396 mines. One exploded, one removed and blown up on scene. And then we turned over the other 396 mines to the authority and gone. And that's when the owner of the field actually came out while we were working, and they're like, he had very poor English, but he's like, we ended up communicating through the phone. He's like, how much for the mines? And he was basically saying how much for the demining, because a lot of organizations get paid to demine. And we're like, no, it's free. And he's like, I don't understand. How much do we owe you for demining? Nothing. So he's like, yabba dabba doo, okay, yeah. So, it's kind of hard that the humanity is still being done. People are, we're not. It's a little strange. I'm not flying around in a private jet and I'm scraping pennies together, and we're all doing this. And the biggest thing that we're doing is literally people are buying a coffee off buy me a coffee, and that's how we're funding this as much as possible. But so it was pretty. We were living in an abandoned orphanage at the time, literally anywhere they can put us up. If it was a couch, if it was a floor, it didn't matter. We're in it to win it and do the greatest impact we possibly can. Wish we had tens of millions of dollars to just keep pushing that, and one day we will. I mean, we're not shying away from this, and we're going to keep going at it. But Yeah, so we were doing all that stuff, doing the demining, and got out there and working this one field. Went over here to check this other field where they had an incident where a vehicle ran over one, found another big belt, marked that one off, went back to this field, was working with some sappers to get rid of some stuff, and just a stutter step out to just outside the safe lane. I had caught the edge of a mine, and that was it. So you don't know you step on a mine when it happens, but, because it happened so fast, it's a nanosecond. So basically whenever that was going off, all I remember is seeing sky, and I could see my knee.
So it lifted you off the ground?
No, it just basically blew me backwards. So it lifted my knee up because it's like a catapult.
Yeah. I'm trying to see how big this thing is.
50 grams.
I don't know if you know this, but we don't use that here in the U.S.
Yeah, so just under 1/5 of a pound.
Is that lethal, or is that just designed to wound?
Designed to wound, but if you land on it with your face,
Why would you do that?
sometimes you want to kiss it. I don't know.
What's wrong with you? I definitely wouldn't step on this mine. First off,
My mama said I was a
there's
beautiful
red
baby
flag.
boy.
How could you? There was a red flag right there.
There's a red flag now.
How did you not see it? There's a flag.
Just the grass.
Yeah, so as you step down, it goes off.
Yeah, you don't realize that, because it happens so fast. So you're trying to figure out life, and
I'm assuming you relatively quickly determined what had happened.
Yeah, because basically what I see is blue sky, and I see my knee. So I was like, oh, I'm falling, because I was looking at a tree line before that. And so I remember just thinking, I'm falling, so I tuck my chin. That's it. It's like, oh, my break fall. Ooh, McMap. So I tucked my chin, landed on my back, and whether you believe in God and all the other stuff, it's just, I did not hit the ground hard, and it felt like someone was holding my shoulders, you know what I mean? And even my buddy Stu watched it happen. He's like, you didn't hit the ground that hard. You're pretty gently. My head didn't even rock back. My chin was against my chest the whole time because I could see my knee and see my crotch. So I'm just looking, and then that's whenever I rotated my knee out to the right, rotated my foot into the left, looked down the center line, and my toes are on the inside facing the wrong way, and I literally take my hand as I'm looking at it, and I just wave like that, literally wave my hand across the foot, and I go, okay, I'm an amputee.
How much pain?
None.
Really?
None in that little moment, you know what I mean? Because as it's coming to you, it literally felt like, you ever get hit with a sledgehammer and or something hard, and it's like that
what
part is numb.
What a fucking weird question. When have you been hit by a sledgehammer?
You never know, but literally getting hit with something hard like a metal baseball bat or something in a fight, whatever. Things happen.
Okay.
Marines.
Still hasn't. That also hasn't happened.
Crayons. They do weird things to you. So it's just like a major impact.
Okay.
Yeah, if you shoot something like an elephant gun, and you're like, oh, your whole arm's numb. It's just a big impact hit. And so I'm looking at it, okay, I'm an amputee, and whether it was yelled out loud or it was in my head, I heard tourniquet, tourniquet, tourniquet. So I'm laying on my back, I rotate over, grab the tourniquet off my waistband, and open, boom, it's prepped, open it up. I'm not the most flexible guy, can you believe that? And I'm trying to get it over my foot. I was like, yeah, that ain't happening. So I'm sitting there, open mine up, which is fine. One of the guys came up, looped it over, was tightening, the tourniquet down after I just got mine open.
How badly were you bleeding?
I don't think I was bleeding all that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's the foot. You know what I mean? So it's not like artillery bleeding, but it's oozing out for sure. And the tourniquet gets applied, and when that happens, instead of me going oh, thanks for if I can get that on there, I remember, and I didn't say it out loud, I literally dropped it on my chest because I'm laying there, and I think to myself in my head, I was like, well, thanks, asshole. I was busy doing that. Instead of,
shock
hey, thanks, bud.
Shock is a real thing.
Yeah, but, I wasn't in great shock. And, yeah, my noise-canceling headphones turned on. Bose is great. I wasn't hearing ear protection, but, that loud bang, it deadens everything. Your nerves are like that. And sound is coming back within 30 seconds, 45 seconds. It's nice and clear. Everything's fine. Ringing is pretty much gone. And,
any sensation of time slowing?
Well, during the falling, a little bit.
Like the slow motion fall?
Yeah, because I could, I have enough time in my head to go, okay, I'm falling. Tuck the chin. You know what I mean? And so that's what I did. And so there's a little bit of the time slowing. Landed, nice and gently. Probably that's why I thought it was so gentle, because I was like, oh, yeah, that's not too bad. And, so the tourniquet got on, and like I said, that's when our humor and all that stuff kicks in. And I found one, pimp down, pimp in distress, and then everyone, like, it all started kicking in, I guess you don't need those dancing shoes anymore, and it's just kept, the jokes kept going.
Yeah.
But that's what we do. And I was calm the whole time, like, as they're doing the quick battle damage assessment, looking, raking the hands across, checking for more things. I put my hand up. I remember saying, I was like, I'm okay. Everything's all good. I'm good. I'm okay. And, Stu was behind me. I reach up, and I was like, hey, Stu, fist bump. Dabs me, fist bump. I was like, I'm good, dude. I'm alive. I'm okay. And literally exactly how we're talking now. No screaming, no voice going, blah, 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 or anything like that. Like, for whatever reason, calm as cucumber. I knew in that moment, like when I was falling, I was like, that warm feeling I told you, I was like, I'm okay. I felt that like 2 other times when shit was just kind of going off in Iraq. So, yeah, I just kept to it, and I know everything in that moment was going to be okay. So, yeah.
What was your journey like out of there back to the U.S.?
Well, we had to get out of the minefield, and that was, we have a cleared lane about a meter wide, so it was small steps. They gave me some morphine. That's when I figured out it doesn't really work. On like a pain scale of like 1 to 10, I was at about a 3 the entire time out of there. Whenever I bounced off something or whatever, there was a little bit more sharper pain. And but I held it in the air, my leg in the air for the entire trip. I never touched the ground. Even at one point, going down the trail, my buddy Stu helped me up because we were trying to get, the hand over his shoulder. Mm-hmm. He's holding onto my belt, and we're moving along for a little bit. I was like, that's not working too well. And he's like, all right, I'll fireman carry you for a bit. And so I jumped up on his shoulders and, hand in the middle of the back, and he carried me for about 100 meters. And then we went back down to moving along. Then one of the guys brought back from the vehicle a blanket, and then that way they could 4-man kind of hold
Stretcher
on.
it,
And we moved slowly because things are slipping, and the jokes continued, and that's kind of when I broke out, kind of crying at one point. I was telling them, I was like, I'm so sorry, you guys have to put up with I was like apologizing for being an absolute fucking numpty and stepping on mine, and now they have to take care of me, so. For whatever reason, that was one of my down times. I even told him, like, that night before, that's when I had that dream. I stepped on a landmine, so.
Fortuitous.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've also had that dream a few other times, like when I was home back in Yuma. So, yeah, it's just another thing, but everyone felt off that morning. It was like, it's just one of those weird mornings. And, it turned out to be a weird day, but.
So how's it go? You minefield into an ambulance to a hospital,
yeah,
eventually to home?
Yeah, so part of that whole why I was like, I don't think I was in that big of a shock, because I helped dial the number for the ambulance that was local to the area. Halo Trust had an ambulance. We had a staged vehicle ready. So ambulance or not, we had our emergency vehicle staged, ready to throw me in the back and drive off to the hospital, but went ahead and called them. We had a full med kit and all that stuff in our vehicle, and IFAC was on myself and tourniquets and stuff. But carried all the way out, got into the back of the vehicle, saw some of the same people in the community that we've been helping this whole time. And I'm giving them fist bumps. I'm saying, Dobre din, Dobre, everything's okay. How is everyone doing? Fist bump, what's up? And get in the back of the vehicle, and, they're like, trying to cut my pants off and stuff. I'm like, give me the damn scissors. I ripped my own shirt off. I unbuckle my belt, and I'm sitting there taking my 511, just, and then bam, free to the world. And take a look, gloriousness, because the back of the vehicle and everyone's standing over there, and I'm just like,
that's a different website.
Yeah, that's that one requires credit cards.
Yeah.
So then we get the thermal blanket on. That's when we pass stuff back and forth. And it seemed like my buddy Stu said, it seemed like they were prepping you and getting you all done and ready to transport forever. And I was like, I didn't think it was all that long. I thought it was like 5 minutes. You're like, no, it seemed like it was 20, but I don't know. And then we started that drive. That's when I made the 2 phone calls, no pickups, left the phone message, and the next thing you know, I get a call back. And get transported to a hospital there. Get in there, and see all the different people that are being wounded and being brought in from the front lines. And, they're looking at me and I'm just smiles and what's up? How's everyone doing? Everything's fine. And they're like, how is this guy okay and happy? Like wounds all up and down his leg, 2 tourniquets on and butt naked and a bandage over, whatever they call that thing. It's no longer a foot. We get in there and I guess they have a CAD or something, to put me under so they can do like the catheter or whatever you call it, the IV right into the neck.
What?
Yeah.
I've only had IVs in my arms.
Yeah, so they were doing that one because they were taking me into surgery and other things. That way they can do stuff. It didn't keep me under long enough. I started waking up just seconds afterward while they're doing it and started moving my head. And I remember feeling a hand put on my head. And he's like, don't move. And, like broken English. And I was like, okay. So I'm just sitting there. But when they gave me that drug, I had like an out-of-body experience and stuff. But, when I was coming to pretty quick, like they were, don't move. So from the time they gave me the drug to the time they were trying to put that stuff in my neck, I was already coming out of it.
Wow.
And so I guess I metabolized stuff pretty good and pretty quick. Went to the CT scans, got there into the to do the surgery. They're putting the nerve block in. They're doing all this stuff. And I remember saying to them, I was like, limb not important, only life. So if you're a Fifth Element person, you might actually like that. But yeah, that's what I told him real quick. Is
I guarantee you, Michael has not watched that movie.
Which movie is it?
The Fifth Element.
That's your homework for tonight.
Watch that movie.
Multipass.
Yeah, Lilu Corpin Dallas. Multipass. I don't know. He's looking it up right now.
I don't know what he does with his time. It's not watching the movies.
No,
we think are awesome.
It's not educating himself.
Actually, this movie,
Except
I think
for
that movie was
Feet
like made in the 90s, so it's probably
this was before I was born.
Yeah.
Actually,
God. I mean, we do our best. We do our best with what we have.
No, but so limb not important, only life. Then they put me under, and then I woke up, and they were holding my toes up and snippy, and I was like, "Dobre den, what's up?" And they're like,
so you were awake again when you weren't supposed to be.
Yeah, and then they look at me, and they're like, "What?" And he's like says something in Ukrainian, and it's like put him back under, and so they put me back under, and then I woke up again, and I was like looking at him this time, and this time I wasn't saying anything. I was just watching them, and that's when out of the corner of their eye they noticed me, and he's like, so I woke up twice during surgery. So like I metabolize that stuff really quickly.
Apparently, yeah.
Because I woke up during a lot of surgeries, even when I was, later
Post
on.
that particular surgery.
Yeah, even in other surgeries. So I just don't stay asleep very well.
I don't think that's a good trait to have.
No, I mean, because even pain stuff, it just goes through. But the one good thing is I didn't require a lot of pain stuff. In that incident, like during the incident, only, like I said, 3 out of 10. You know when it was a 10 out of a 10? After debridements.
Yeah.
Because actually where my wound was, there was 2 exposed nerves. So they were scuzz brushing my 2 nerves.
Yeah.
So about 18 to 24 hours after a surgery, that's when the pain meds were really kicking off. Those were some loud moments, and then sometimes they couldn't give me a pain med because of the putting me under. They had to wait so long until the safety line had been met, and then they give it to me. And like one time they there's different like ladies. Everyone's Nurse Anna, but she gave me one that was like morphine, and I was like, that doesn't work. She did like what's that one, fentanyl tab on the arm. I was like, well, that's cute. That doesn't work. And they gave me something else, and I was like, primo stuff. This is the one. Always give me this one. This one works.
Yeah.
And it was really just to get me to calm down long enough to where I could really control the burning and shaking and all that stuff of the leg. And, so I did that stuff. It was really pain meds. I only needed them after those debridements, but we did debridements every 2 days. So 3 days in Kharkiv, about 9 to 10 days there in Kyiv. I still have the contact for the doctor that took care of me, and I still keep in contact with her, let her know my progress. And she's a vascular surgeon there and working with all these military people and stuff. And she was asking if I can do something or get her one of those like V scans from General Electric that hooks up to like an iPhone, so she can have a portable vascular scanner.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, so it's like $4,000 to get a new one, 4,500 or whatever. So I'm gonna do once I get able to get over there, I'm gonna do like hit up every plastic surgeon I can possibly think of, or do a big drive, get one, get back over there and give it to her, because that's all she does is help people that require all these surgery and stuff. So it's 100% going to go to good causes. She doesn't have her own practice. She's literally helping soldiers, old people, young people, everyone. If they go through her hospital, like that's all she does. She's not raking in the big, plastic surgeon money of, making stuff better. So I'm definitely going to try to do whatever I can, or I don't know, sell those feet finder picks and get her one. But that's one of those near and dear to my heart things. But yeah, so
for you, I would say foot finder.
Foot finder. Hey, I can't find it, Lieutenant Dan. Well, actually, in the field today, they actually found part of my sock, so they're going to bring that back to me.
Maybe just put it in the garbage.
Oh, no, I'm going to try to sew it back together. It doesn't need to be as long.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
So how'd you get back to the States?
Yeah, so I didn't get back to the States till October 27th, and I got injured June 7th. So You can kind of do the math. I was a Marine, so no math. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, almost 5 months for the whole thing. But yeah, so I did that. Then Lviv for a night. Then Poland for about 2 weeks, and then I was in German hospital in Germany up until October 27th. Got hooked up there, did all the major surgeries, and that's where we were trying to do limb salvage. And up until like right around that September mark, we tried a lot of stuff, and then the last one was a Hail Mary. We're going to see if this works, but I need you to sign this. So either you wake up with a nub or you wake up with a BKA.
Blow the knee.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was like, done, last-ditch effort. If we can't do it this one, it's time to move on and just choppy. I know like some people are like, dude, you need to calm down with the choppy stuff. But again, the dark humor, and I think a lot of stuff is because of like experiences and training we've all had. Like we've seen what incidents and what things look like, and we generally know what the actual outcome is years later. So we have memories to it. But yeah, I signed it. I woke up and I still had a nub. So what they did was they basically, if I showed it to you right now, you can see where there's like a dark area above my wound right here. Mm-hmm. It's because they pulled the skin up, scraped it all the way, and then took it and stretched it about 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches, to try to close it. And then we had to wait 10 days to see if that would even work.
I'm assuming it did. Because
it worked.
Not a blow.
Yeah, because when they originally took it off, because they have that wound back on it and stuff like that, they're looking at it like, oh, yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. Guy's like pulling a drawer out. He's like, playing with the table saw, with the hacksaw.
Well, because, when they first pulled it off, it's all that bruised color, and it's like, oh, crap, I don't know if this worked. Maybe it did. We're going to find out. And then so we gave it like that 4-day period afterwards to kind of see if it actually stuck. And only small parts of it did not work out, and they kind of die and they fall off. But 98% or 90% of it worked. So it was like, okay, now there's only about a finger width L shape that has to heal on its own. We can't stretch anything any further. So we just gave it time. It took about 2 months. It didn't fully close until about December. So even when I was home, it was still healing, still closing, still seeping. So I had to do changing the bandage 2 times a day, airing it out, putting on this collagenase in the morning. And then I would do like this medical honey in the evening, and just alternating every single day, open air, this, and just, kept at it. So from time of injury until it's at least closed was 6 months.
It's rough, man.
Yeah.
What's the reality of the ground over there in Ukraine?
Well, everyone's reality is different. So from my perspective is the support that's being sent over there and gets to them, it's being used with high effectiveness. I mean, you can look at it like for the military standpoint and for like the U.S. standpoint on it, for pennies on the dollar, we're beating the number 2 military in the world, and not at the cost of our own guys. You know, these other guys are basically standing there and says, we'll put in the blood. We just need you to put in the materials. And, you know, like everyone's like, oh, we give them Bradleys and they're going to just like waste them. Yeah, okay, yeah, they're not a 12-year Bradley unit. You know, they get training for 6 months or whatever, and then they get thrown into the fray, and then they're going to work or they're not going to work, or they're going to stick to their old ways, or they're going to do this. But for the most part, like, it's highly effective. The problem is the Russians can lose, 40 to 50 to 1. So if they're only at a loss of 10 to 1 right now, Russia's like more effective.
From a numbers perspective, yeah, an attrition perspective.
Absolutely, but Russia has the gut for the attrition. Does America? If we were losing, you know, a few 100,000 people per year, how long would we stick to it? How many did we lose over 20 years?
Yeah, I don't nowhere near that much.
And how much did our society go, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever?
I don't think we have the gut for it, and I don't mean that negatively.
No.
I think culturally it's different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. Not our, like us, our soldiers and what we were doing. We have the gut for it because we grew up and we got a certain selflessness and this and that. And we were just like, fucking, things got to be done.
And you
know
also always lie to yourself. It's never going to be me.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever going into it like, this one's probably going to get me.
Yeah.
I don't think I would actually want to go on target with that person. Hey, guys, tonight's my night. Like, you can take tonight off.
Yeah. No, probably not. I mean, there's times you go and like, all right, well, this one's going to be bad, boys, but let's...
That's different than saying this one's...
Yeah, like...
The golden BB's coming for me tonight.
Yeah, don't go in there with the thing going, yeah, I'm going to die right here when I go through this door. Like, that's my door. I'm supposed to die there. And we're like...
Yeah. I'll just say, go sit down.
You get this next door over here.
Actually, you're going to have a timeout.
Yeah.
Go sit back with the C2 element.
Yeah, there's a Pop-Tart that you need to eat. It's located...
Your blood sugar low.
Yeah, it's located at Kandahar. You go over there.
Talk to some people. Just answer a few questions. Yeah. So we were talking...
Picture, what do you see?
Oh, God. Yeah. What does this speak... What does this picture speak to you? What does it say when it does?
Yeah.
So we're walking over here. And you were saying...
Were we walking or was I just kind of hobbling?
You can describe it however you want. It's your choice. I told you get set the pace.
Yeah.
But you said as soon as you can, you're headed back.
I am.
What does your wife think about that?
She knows the inevitability. She just wants to make sure I'm as not high, but like as highly prepared and capable and able to be able to go over there.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to go there and be a burden on anyone. There ain't no reason. You know, if you're going to be the stick in the cog, it's like, don't be the stick. Wait until you're another cog and add yourself to the team, and now you're just a stronger set of cogs. You know what I mean? Don't be the hindrance. Be part of the solution. Be something that's good.
It's tough for people because a lot of people don't want to hang it up, and it's easy to tell yourself you're good to go and that you're not going to be the hindrance.
Yep.
When you are. No,
I mean, you saw me walking. I'm to help to no one currently, other than what I'm doing right now. So getting our information out there, getting what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and what we're going to continue to do, like getting it out in front of people and being like, we're a cause worthy. And
I think you're a huge help to people currently. I mean, the vast amount of knowledge you obviously have in your head from when you did your apprentice EOD tour to EOD school to the deployment after that to the YPG to all, like, there's a lot you can do. You may not be able to go over to Ukraine, but I would say you are a massive help, especially to people who are in that world.
Yep. And I still get pictures. Someone just randomly sends me a picture of what's this, and I go, it's this. Or if I don't know the exact thing, I go, well, it is a guided missile, surface to air, blah, 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 and I'll send them a related picture of generally what it is, and then I'll put them in like the target area, and then they're like, oh, I found it, it's this. I was like, no, there you go. And that's 1,000,000 miles away, but I can be of help. And
what
I currently
do you
am.
do with a surface-to-air missile?
I mean, just like everything. You get rid of it. Now, it all depends. Because like what they sent me a picture of was like this weird, round, had the groups cut out, massive, improved crow or whatever it's called. It's basically just a warhead, and the fusing was missing. So it's just explosives and metal. I was like, oh, it goes to something like this. And then, of course, they immediately found it like 10 minutes later. So I found it. It's this one. I was like, good job. But I didn't even research to look what it is. I know what it is. I know generally what it's put into, and that's like where the experiences come from. So that's what I currently do. But I'm going to get back out there because, like I said, with mines, most of it you're done on your belly anyway, so I got to be walking around.
I mean, after Ukraine, I feel like there's probably no shortage of work for you to do globally.
No, we're already looking at doing some more stuff in East Africa and Southeast Asia, just to name a few. And then if we can get invites anywhere, South America, wherever. And like I said, we're going to be doing training. We're going to be doing other stuff, especially not even with our Invictus, but with our for-profit. We're going to try to get that going and get people to work, find those professionals. One thing a lot of big companies and big people do is they don't actually hire qualified people.
Do they think they're hiring qualified people?
I'm sure. No, some people, they literally put like, I did a year as a blah, blah, blah. But if you actually look at their certs and everything else, yeah, they got hired onto a contract they shouldn't have been on. And now they're experienced, and now they're just on another contract raking in the big money. And then they eventually get kicked off of that one too. And then they just move to the next one because I know I've got 2 years of experience and now this and this. And they don't have a clue what's going on.
And it's tough to put the responsibility of that specifically just on the organization. You obviously should vet your people.
No, it's wholly on the organization because there's been times I've literally been...
Well, also the person lying on the resume, it's kind of on them too.
Yeah, well, most of it's on the company because I will literally go, this person's not qualified, this. We'll just train them or learn to work with them.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, so
if they're willingly hiring people that are not
Yeah.
qualified, I'm just saying there's a lot of people out there whose resume does not have a linear connection to their experience.
No,
if you know
not at
what I
all.
mean.
Oh, yeah. No, or the one where they have 17 certs that are on the exact same day.
I support it.
I've seen
It's
that.
for efficiency.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They all graduated from 17 schools across the world on the exact same day, and someone sends me a...
You should call that pencil whipping.
Yeah, I know. It was funny. It's one organization sent me the certificate. It's like, because it was the same program we were doing. Obviously, it was the one that failed. And they're like, is this certificate legit? And I was like, no, because they were only supposed to hire people that were qualified. So no American or French guy should have this certificate because they were not part of the course. So someone basically just gave them a certificate. They really just printed off themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that stuff happens. And the biggest thing is a lot of these big companies, they don't really go down it. They just look to see that they have a certificate, that it meets within this time frame, and that it has this specific verbiage on it. And that's the problem. In the international mine action community for a while there, some companies would not hire you and stuff because your certificate did not say this exact phrase, even though the school for American EOD Tech was 9+ months long, and the certificate you needed, which made you better than American EOD Tech, was 3 weeks long. So you were not qualified because on your schooling, your minefield experience said military minefield instead of humanitarian minefield. You know the difference in them? The tolerance of standards of which you follow. So still, it's just a piece of paper which you read and go, oh, instead of this much distance, in the humanitarian one, it's this much distance. A lot of the exact same things, just what it follows. And then, oh, you guys do surveys, but we call them this and then survey. So because you don't do exactly these two words or this one word, you're not doing the type of surveys we do.
Can you imagine, though, trying to get into that field with that high of level of stakes, being underqualified?
Yeah, well, that's why we're starting a school. That's why we're literally going to start a school. So we're going to convert people's experience because we know the schooling you've been through. And if you don't meet a specific thing for these little things, you don't need to go through all this stuff because you have the experience, you have the knowledge. So you don't need to go through 3 weeks of training here, 3 weeks of training here, 3 weeks of training here. You already have all the time and experience. You just have to meet these 5 or 7 or 8 other little things So over a 2 or 3 week period, you're back up to the top qualification internationally, and you're in the U.S. one. So those other people from across the pond or wherever they're at, they can't come do the U.S. UXO Tech thing until they come get a U.S. UXO Tech, certificate. So now they can't do it. So it's something that we need to fix at the international level because, I've been on I was on one contract when I was talking to one guy, and he's like, "Oh, well, you're not qualified as I am," because he was a specific thing in a military. Then all he does is IEDs. Like, so you're not a certain qualification. I was like, "Oh yeah, well, can you do this? No. Can you do this? No. Can you do this? Funny, I can do this, and your job. So who's qualified now?" I was like, well, "You're in my office, so you can do one and jog on." So your arguments mean absolutely nothing to me. Like,
dick measuring contests are fun.
Yeah,
especially when you have the macro hog. You know what I mean? You can just lay it out there and be like,
yeah,
see ya.
Yeah, and go like, you're coming in saying you're the best or whatever, but when it comes down to it, certain organizations, it takes 14 of them in a team to do the same thing a U.S. 2 or 3 man team does.
Yeah. It's just that arena has such high consequences. I can't imagine trying to short circuit that process and get into that world underqualified. That is just insane to me.
Oh, because a lot of it's training. If it's a training contract, then who really cares? I was on one contract. I think there was 2 of us that were EOD techs out of the 14 hires on an EOD, IEDD, counter ID contract.
Yeah, so there's no risk to those people, but the people that they're supposedly training. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, so I literally was teaching every course, and the other guy on the team could only teach the counter ID stuff. But, it's not his fault.
Yeah.
It's the company that's hiring. And, so, it is what it is. But until, we get some really crackdown things in, government contracting, one would be the biggest thing that needs to happen in government contracting is when a company, wins a bid and then they just destroy it and it doesn't really matter, and but they sucked up the money for the last 2 years, and even if they messed it up so bad, they just fold that company, start a new one, and then win again, and then they do it rinse and repeat. I think if you start holding the contract team and the CFO and the actual management team and all their names and socials to it, that way whenever they really screw up a contract where it's horrible, they can't just change their company name and start anew.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Now those people can't do it at all, and if they're associated with it, even a consultant on someone else's, well, then they lose it too.
Yeah, it needs to have a legacy to it. Otherwise, the same shit's going to repeat.
Yeah, because I literally watch companies fold, restart, do the same thing, fold, restart, do the same thing, and they're sitting on a mega yacht and literally helped no one for 10 years other than themselves.
How close did you get to the front lines in Ukraine?
It's fluid. I guess I can look it up, but within a kilometer or 2.
Okay.
Or closer. So we were down in a town, Kupiansk. So on the edge of Kupiansk, right up here is the front line. We were meeting the mayor and stuff in the center of town. So if I looked up that building and I looked up the front lines, but as we were driving into it, it's kind of lower. You drive in like this and you come down to it. You look out the window that way and you can see the artillery hitting the front line.
No shit.
And all the fighting. And you're just like, okay, well, we're driving down into that. So, yeah.
Is the fighting there pretty consistent?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the fighting all across Ukraine is pretty consistent. Some places get a little hot and heavier at certain times, and then it kind of slows down, especially when people are trying to regroup, bring in more vehicles, and things change. They won a lot of territory back. They lose a little bit here. At what cost? The material cost, the personnel cost. They hold this for so long. They get something back. They adjust this. There's victories in everything that they do. There's also losses in things that they do. And for, the David versus Goliath type thing, they are making great strides. They are doing great things. One thing that you got to look at is, what does a victory look like? If they take the entire land back that they've lost, well, how much of it is actually usable land at this point? How much of it of a city is actually a city? Or is it just one building that's kind of half standing now that used to have a population of 100,000 plus, and now there's not a livable building in it?
Yeah.
What are you winning back? So there's going to be a lot of rebuilding. And, there's different things people talk about with, once the war ends, how long are people going to be there to demine? Well, you can talk about, removing all the ordnance too. Oh, for every year of fighting, there's going to be 10 years of, mine clearance, or 20 years of this. I mean, it all really depends on what kind of effort and resources you want to put behind it.
Yeah.
If you only have 1,000 deminers and X amount of budget, it's going to take you X amount of time. But if you have 20,000 deminers and all this money, well, heck, 50 years might turn into 20. If you do this by this much and this, 20 years maybe turns into 7.5 years. So it all really depends on what kind of effort people are going to put into after the fact. And that's where it comes down to it. Like demining is a business for a lot of organizations. And if you demine it all in a year, what's your business model look like?
Well, they could go over to Afghanistan. Have fun with that one.
Yep. No, and you can go over Southeast Asia. You can go just literally anywhere. I mean, technically, we are doing some kind of demining in the U.S., which is just, range clearances, fixing up all that stuff. It's all part of that mine action, if you will. So UXOs, IEDs, legacy items, all that. And, so the job's not going away. As long as two people in the world hate each other, I have job security.
How can people support what you have going on? I know you were saying that right now it's fledgling company,
Yep.
right? You are bootstrapping every penny, trying to put it directly on the ground with what you guys have going on.
Yep.
I think the two most important or valuable things are, where can people educate themselves about what you have going on? And then if they want to, what's the best portal for them to support it?
Yeah, so we got the Invictus Global Response.org website, and it has a link to our social media. The team on the ground is phenomenal with getting out daily or every other day updates of what they're doing, what they're coming across, what their needs are. And we support them by pushing that stuff back out. Excuse me. And through there, it kind of tells what our mission is, what we're trying to do, all that right there. And the only thing that we don't currently have is if you do a big donation and stuff, you don't get like that immediate tax break.
Yeah, the tax
now
relief,
you get the backdated one. So if you give us $50,000 today, and then a month and a half from now we get the 501c3, according to the tax code, our accountant and others we talk to, we can backdate to the formation of our company up to 26 months after our formation. So as long as we get the 501c3 status up to that point, from our understanding and everything we've read and everything we talked to, we can backdate it to that point.
Okay.
So it ain't probably going to help your taxes this month, but next year's taxes, if you donate $30,000 or $60,000 a year for your tax break, if you're ready to do that and you can wait till next year, then we're there, we're ready to receive.
What if it's only like $50?
Yeah, $5, $10, like literally anything. We got that Buy Me a Coffee. If you're
What's
gonna,
that?
So it's a website where you can go to Buy Me a Coffee and you basically buy a coffee, $5. You can buy 10 coffees, 70 coffees, 100 coffees, whatever amount you want. We also have it set up where we have a subscription, like a Patch of the Month Club. Mm-hmm. So you sign up for that, X amount of dollars, and every month we send you a patch that we procure in country and get it. Once we get it back to the States, because it's cheaper to send, we send you the patch of the month, whatever random patch that's going to be. And so every month you get a patch. And we're working on doing some other ones for subscriptions, but we got like Adopt a Minefield or this or that, and we're going to grow. Yeah, so it's the project. It's the project we're working on. And
I get it.
Currently, we're adopting Monty's Minefield. That's the one we're working on. So hopefully they don't get it all cleared before I get there. But if they do, that's a good thing.
No, I was going to say hopefully they do.
So regardless if they do or don't, I'm definitely going to get back out there. I'm not defeated by it. I'm not mad at anyone for it. Things happen. Risks are taken. we all do those assessments, and we all know what the outcomes can do. And I'm glad that our training, our experience all kicked in. Everyone was good, perfect at what they did. I got out of there, made it to this point, standing, or I guess sitting before you, and we're going to keep doing it. So, yeah, invictusglobalresponse.org, get in there. There's different links, different ways, and we're always building upon it. There's big donations, and you want to do a wire transfer, you just message us, and we can start talking directly over the phone, get you the bank details, and receive it. And if you have a specific thing you want it to go towards, because right now some of the biggest things we're going towards is monthly cost of us being there is just a few $1,000s, basically taking care of the vehicle or transportation, because we don't have our own vehicle yet. So it's the cost of, renting on the days they go out, and the fuel cost, the expenses for where they live per month. And it's general transportation, taking care of their own food until we can kind of get that expenses taken care of. And then we're going to have some legal fees in order to apply for that accreditation beyond the MOU, where we can just support specific units or specific tasks. And eventually we're getting that accreditation, working towards it, so that way we can do those specific minefield things where we train our own Ukrainian deminers, supervisors, equip them, and then advise them and be right there on site while they clear their own communities. So that's one of the things we're doing. But again, it takes money and time to build that up. We're fundraising right now for an ambulance or two, or even three. When we're not actively supporting a minefield, we're going to use that ambulance for the community in order to support someone who can't normally get to a hospital because they're bedridden or whatever, or to bring a doctor out into that community for a day and transport the supplies there, so then that way they can affect change on so many people without having to transport them. So these are all things we're doing. We're actually looking at talks right now, identified 2, if not 3 ambulances, and just to get them up, kept, and ready to transport, not even transported, we're looking at roughly $15,000. So is it going to cost 12, 15, right around there? And of course, the more we get, the better upkeep, or the more spare parts we can send over with it. And I think they're Ford F-350s converted with the boxes on them. And once we get the actual final price and as much what's wrong with them and what we're going to actually put on them, like a basic, like a tow kit, like the heavy duty rope, that way you can get it pulled out. Make sure there's fresh tires on it, because I think the tires on them are 5, 6, 7 years old, so they're starting to get dry rotted. So fresh tires, oil change, any parts that are worn, torn, get them fixed and replaced right then and there. And that way when they go over there, everyone's fresh. So yeah, we're looking at that. Once we get the final price, then we're going to budget. My buddy's already looking at going to help me do all the mechanical stuff. We just got to buy all the parts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get underneath the vehicle and break my knuckles with them, and everything we can do every single day. So
I think telling that story of where people's money where it goes, really helps.
Yeah.
Raising money is, I think, one of the most difficult things I've ever done. It is so hard to not only get people's attention, but to capture their attention.
Yep.
There are so many. GoFundMe was, there was a period in time where I swear I would see 10 of them a day, which I probably didn't.
Yeah. Well,
and there's that bias of like, hey, if you're looking for it, you're going to find more of it. But getting somebody's attention, keeping their attention, and then separating a dollar from their wallet to a cause. I think a lot of larger organizations sometimes deal with that because the cause is so big. And if you give $50, like what does that actually do? I think your storytelling through the social media and the website and showing exactly where that's going could help you have a deeper tie to the people potentially willing to support.
Well, you know what $50 does? If you have a vehicle and all that stuff, $50 is 2 trips from, an hour away from a hospital to get someone to a hospital. Yeah. And in my case, whether I want to emphasize it or not, be like, oh, there was a safety vehicle stage. The ambulance wasn't exactly what helped me. The ambulance saved my life. Part of the reason why I'm alive. So, that was $25. Them driving there and Jim driving me back. So that's 5 coffees. You would save someone's life. That's where $25 just went.
I've never heard of this Buy Me a Coffee site. Did you guys create that, or are you using a platform?
Using a platform.
I've never even heard of that. Yeah. Can you pull that up, Michael?
Yeah. And then we'll go to the Invictus Global Response so y'all kind of see the website.
For sure.
But yeah, so Buy Me a Coffee. Someone just did a marathon, and he just bought us 25 coffees.
Okay.
I don't know if you can search Invictus on there. Invictus Global Response.
There it is.
There it is, second one down.
Sol Victus, an expert in cringe and shit posting. I'm
Yeah,
going to
pretty
buy
much.
him a
Yes.
coffee later.
Yeah, so there's my fuzzy dumbass. I mean, sorry, my fuzzy self right there. Second
Yep.
one from the middle, and that's Stu right there on the right-hand side where we're training some DSNS or CESU. They're basically the state emergency services.
I like
and
how this
police.
website positions this. It's like for the cost of a cup of coffee, skip one for a day, make it
So
at home.
there's
Yeah.
Adopt a Minefields, you go down. I think we got a Patch of the Month club. And so, sometimes people like to get something, what they're doing, a hat, a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And we're trying to come up with one that's going to be a higher price one where you initially get something cool. I mean, heck, when I was going through my kit yesterday or the other day when I was putting up the fence, I reached down in my my drop pouch and I pulled out like 17 pieces of frag that I picked up on the battlefield when I was searching for stuff. I was like, I still had some stuff in my kit. Good thing I didn't have any explosives or anything. So, yeah, it's always good.
I like cool stuff like this and pitching it through the lens of it allows people who have
And there's that one where
less to give.
we got we're going to send you a mine sign. And,
How much to send a mine?
well, so that's one thing we're actually looking at doing is
No, I don't want an inert one. We'll talk about
they
this.
were
We'll
live.
talk about this offline.
They were live until they were
That's not the
inerted.
one I want, though. That'll be the black label.
Let's talk to you about 5 minutes after this when we're away from some microphones and cell phones. But yeah, that's the buy me a coffee, and you get directed to that one from our website if you go to invictusglobalresponse.org.
Yeah, can you pull it up, Michael?
Yeah.
I mean, there might actually be a link on this site. My wife is the one that does a lot of this stuff, and Stu does a lot of this stuff. So
Is Stu in that picture, too?
yeah, he's the fuzzy guy on the right hand side of the flag.
Gotcha.
The strapping young fellow he's a month and a half older than I am.
Scroll down, Michael. Let's take a look what they got. Vision and mission. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, people can come here and absolutely check out what they have going on. Keep scrolling down. I want to see some mines. Is that where you got blown up?
No.
Is there a picture here where you got blown up?
Not sure if it's on this one. I know it's on our social media.
Missed opportunity. You could have been on a live stream, It could have
should've
trended. Sweet. Yeah, you guys
That
got
was a cemetery we were working on in that picture.
Yeah. They mined a cemetery?
Their fighting position was right next to it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, man.
So
what a weird place
ordnance
to
and
mine.
stuff, that was...
All right. Keep going down, Michael.
Yep, so, capacity on mine action,
Yep.
humanitarian assistance.
Right on.
Yeah, so we're, like I said, we're not just there. Some
Oh, yeah,
organizations
yeah.
just do the
That's
other
what I'm
stuff.
talking about.
But we're there to, from nothing to the end, once you're standing on your own 2 feet.
Yeah.
Eee.
Or your own 1 foot.
Yeah, your own 1 foot. It's like Coming to America. Arf, arf, arf. Yeah, but you keep going down, you'll see all the glorious people that we have. We're not a very big team right now. So there's Stu. There's me up there at Congress. There's our British guy, our Mozambican. Edson, he's awesome. Cyrus Boone Joe, I've known him for over a decade now. Brian is over there. He put himself through a EOD school, and it was a firefighter, EMT type, and that's my wife, who for some reason is still with me. She's
Give her time to come to her senses.
she's amazing. Hopefully she never figures it out. Yeah, but that's exactly what some of the places look like.
Yeah.
We're not sugarcoating it.
I don't think you should.
And the humanitarian aspect of it is, as we go through it and get projects to clear it. Okay, it's great that you cleared it. Well, let's get the roof rebuilt. Let's get the house rebuilt. Let's get the infrastructure. Let's get the school going.
Yeah.
Let's get a supply chain. With different. Not necessarily going to get you the vehicles, but start getting an organization that can get you a vehicle to truck in weekly supplies to your town, where you guys have a budget spending limit. Start getting donations in. Okay, you got $3,000 a month or a week. What does your town need? Let's teach you how to do your project management. And we're working with them, and they go, we identified this. Well, it's going to cost $25,000. Okay, well, then that's a project that we have to ask for help from someone else or raise the funds to do that specific one. But what weekly maintenance and small stuff can y'all keep doing? What are y'all missing? Well, we need to do, a medical thing once a month. Okay, we got a budget for a doctor to come in, bring them in and budget for $1,500 worth of vaccine supplies, medicines, whatever. Okay, boom, we're doing that. The rest of it's going to be fuel for the town generator, for this, for that. We're going to target 2 roofs, essentially, to keep people sheltered while we do this. So tarps. And then we'll work on, rebuilding it with other stuff as we go. And so we'll help with the management stuff is the key thing, because we're a small organization. And one of the things we do that is a little different, we're requesting stuff and we're constantly has a persistent part in the communities. So it's not like we're always like in the U.S. and going, let's build all this stuff. I'm going to go over there for, a few weeks or a month or 2 at a time. And then I'm going to be gone for half the year. Then I'm going to come back in. You're wasting stuff by moving back and forth so much. And the donations and all that stuff aren't going to the end user, aren't going into the community you're working in. So that's what we're trying to do, and we're going to capacity build. So that's where we're a little different. We want to minimize the Western impact. So I don't want to bring 100 Westerners in there like most contracts and stuff do. It's like, oh, we'll bring all the experts in and pay them $100,000 each. Let's bring in 3 experts, and then that other $9.7 million, let's capacity build and work on the community with that. So the locals are getting paid. They're buying local produce, local materials, providing for their family. The community is growing. Not, I'm coming in there. It's like, yeah, I need to buy a candy bar. Okay, I've helped the community out with, $2. Well, the deminer who lives there, he's paying his electric bill. He's going to the store. He's getting his gas. He's getting his family a vehicle that's now going out over here, getting this. So it's all really about the community at this point. Now, don't get me wrong, when we do contracts and other things, if I can get paid, because with all the donations now, I don't take a single dollar. It goes to support the team. If we can get a grant and I can get, some way to I get paid where I can go do a project management or get there, that's when I'll accept some money. When you buy me a coffee, that $5 is going straight to the team. That $5 is going straight to whatever legal fees or whatever else that needs to keep the operation going. I'm not taking anything from it. What do you call it? GoFundMe? Mm-hmm. So many people came together and helped me with medical costs and other things. And they still, every once in a while, someone puts $25 or $100 into it, and it's going towards all this medical stuff above and beyond that I might require or I am requiring at times. So all the different trips to and from here to get this looked at. Okay, there's a specialist for this. VA takes care of certain parts because, I got disabilities with them. And, yeah, but anything it doesn't take care of, the community, the world freaking came together and hooked it up.
That's the cool power of the internet.
Yeah, and it's amazing, and we're going to keep after that. And once Invictus gets his 501c3, we're going to go on the GoFundMe thing too, and pull that money through there and literally everything. So we're going to take any and all. We're going to set it up where we can take cryptocurrencies if someone wants to donate a stock to us. It's all things we're going to, as we develop, we'll take anything. If you reach out to us and you got some supplies or whatever, old military stuff or old search equipment or old hook and line equipment, EOD equipment, medical equipment, even if it's for training, and you just want to free a box up in your garage, send it to us. If we can't use it, our networking is so strong, we're going to find someone who can. We're going to get it to them.
I like it.
Yeah, so it's not. You'll see a lot in this in the NGO fields. Like we've learned a lot, and one of the biggest things is this is ours. No, like this is for them.
It's money driven.
Money, ego,
yeah,
a lot of narcissism, a lot of other stuff.
Oftentimes those two are tied.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's one of those cringe things where I'm just like, that's why we kind of had to step away and start our own.
I get it. What do you want to leave people with, man? Other than, like don't step on mines and stuff.
Yeah, not a great method.
Yeah.
A method, not the method. The biggest thing is just follow us. If you can't help, it doesn't mean you're not helping. Click, follow, repost, send that stuff forward.
Spread the word, yep.
The biggest thing, a great person that I respect, Steve Cassidy, actually told me, sit down, write a list of 100 people. You're not going to ask those 100 people for a dime. You're going to ask those 100 people for the next 100 people each. And then that's how you grow.
Yeah.
And then those 100, from those 100, those tens of thousands, now you're going to ask them and them and them. Grow your network. Some of them are going to be able to help you directly. Some of them are going to be able to get you to the next person. So if you know someone, if you know a CPA, once we get our 501c3 and you know a CPA, direct them to our website, especially once we get our 501c3, and tell them, like, if someone has to donate $500 to save $5,000 from paying towards taxes or whatever, well, send us that $500.
Yeah.
We'll put good use to it. Yeah. So that's currently what it is. Look us up, follow us, talk to us, be part of the solution. I've caused enough problems, but I've worked on being the solution a lot too.
Isn't it a lot more enriching?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's easy to break shit, man.
What?
Harder to put stuff back together.
You know what I told, what I've been telling people? It's like, I've gone to really horrible places for money. A lot of times. Never been injured, hurt, truly. I mean, been injured, hurt, but like never really to this extent. And then the one time I, a good portion of it pay my own way, that's when I get heavily injured. So no good deed goes unpunished, but at the same time, I don't look at it like that. The enrichment of how many people we're helping, and people are like, oh, well, how much do we owe you for this? Not a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pouring my heart out for you guys, and you guys are in the dire straits. At least I could sleep in a vehicle. You're literally sleeping in a lean-to of a munition shell that you found, and you've leaned up against a tree, and you got a little fire underneath it. Like, I'm here for you. Like, I got an extra trash bag. We're gonna cut this bad boy open and get you a door out of these twigs and sticks. Let's make you a plastic house. Let's do something for you. And that's what the enriching part is. And yeah, we're gonna keep at it. And whether we have $1 or whether we have $100 million, we're gonna kick some ass and keep doing it. So no donations too small, even if it's nothing other than reposting and sending it forward. You're helping. You're absolutely helping.
Perfect, man. Well, let's get you back outside. Enjoy Montana.
Oh, there you go.
Right on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.